Well, good afternoon, everybody. We made it to Friday. How about that, huh? And boy, is it nice outside. Woo! 83 degrees. I can take some of that. I think if it gets any warmer than this, it's a little too warm.
I agree.
Yeah, this is, I think, 83. I think we can all agree. Excuse me. There you go. There, we have to stop and let the three dings go through.
That's right.
83 degrees is about, I think, the perfect temperature. Any warmer than that, and you get it gets a little moist, a little steamy. So you're not comfortable.
Yep.
But if it's any cooler than that with a breeze, it can be a little too cool. 83, I think we can all agree today is the perfect temperature.
You won't get a disagreement from me.
No, I think that's just about right. And if we get, I tell you what, if we get another couple of days like this next week, I'm going to move the show outside.
Ooh.
I'm going to go by the pool.
Well, that'd be fun for you, I guess.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Maybe I'll have some people over in the swim, have a little swim party.
That's just not fair.
No, that's not right. I couldn't participate, of course, because I would be busy bringing you news and information for the next 4 hours. We're going to have a lot of fun today. This is, by the way, Friday, so we'll do two versions of Phone Your Farb Friday. That'll be at 4:35 and 5:35. And so we want you to get your thoughts together. Don't come to us with half-baked ideas. We want complete, coherent, cogent, concise, and comprehensive. We want all of that. We want you to bring your A game for that, because anything that's on your mind, anything that you want to ask, anything that you want to say, this is the time. This is where we let you just have your way within boundaries, because it is a family show. So get your thoughts together for that. Let's start off this hour, though, with a look back. As I mentioned to you yesterday, I think it was about 3:30, 4 o'clock. The state legislature went sine die, which is Latin for we're done, we're out of here, we've had enough of this mess. They are finished for the year unless they get called back in a special session, which I think actually the governor should do. He should just do that to get him to come back and finish the one thing that they didn't accomplish. We'll talk about some of that. By the way, it also became known yesterday during this program that the governor will sign that bill allowing the arming of teachers in school. And that's an oversimplification of what the bill does, but here's the governor.
I do plan on signing legislation, and I think we need to be really clear about what this law does. You're right. Districts have the option to choose. What's important to me is that we give districts tools and the option to use a tool that will keep their children safe in their schools.
Yeah, this was brought by Representative Ryan Williams, and it will allow teachers to carry concealed handguns on campus after they go through a bunch of I feel like I have to go through this list every time because everybody oversimplifies this. You have to submit to a background check. You have to pass a psychological evaluation. You have to receive 40 hours of firearms training, and you have to submit your fingerprints. And then you also have to have permission from your principal, your superintendent, and the law enforcement officer in charge of your particular area, whether it's a sheriff or a police chief. You have to have their permission as well. So there's a lot of things that you have to jump through, and really this is aimed at rural counties where they're having a hard time keeping SROs. We fund enough money for every school to have an SRO. The problem is finding them. I mean, it's just really hard to find SROs because police officers are in demand. And if you want to be an SRO, then you can find a job in a lot of different places. But they have a hard time in the smaller rural areas finding people who want to fill those roles. So this may work out for them. And it's, by the way, the law in some 33 different states. But that got passed in the last moments of the state legislature, really, next to the last day, 68-28, with two people not voting. There's two people, with a profile in courage. The bill previously passed the Senate the week before, last week. So there's that. And so the governor says it comes to my desk, I will sign it. It's going to become the law. And I just have to say it again. All of the wailing and gnashing of teeth and the screaming and the hollering and the histrionics from the gallery and the die-ins. Children will die when this happens. Oh, your blood is going to be on your hands. You know what? It's already in place in some 32 or 33 other states in some form. And certainly, if that were happening to a great degree, seems like we might have heard something about it before now. So, enough of that stuff. A big story in the Tennessean. I'll give them a lot of credit for putting together this compendium of things that they accomplished. Let me just run through them. At the very last moment, and I don't begin to understand the whole, I haven't done a lot of study on this particular issue, but they did a $1.9 billion franchise tax cut and refund for corporations. Now, it may sound like a gift to big business, but it was apparently something that needed to be done, as I understand it, to avoid a lawsuit. They approved the largest tax cut in Tennessee history, $400 million in annual revenue by eliminating the property tax calculation for the state's franchise tax. Along with the recurring tax break, the lawmakers approved a $1.5 billion refund for businesses who have paid franchise taxes based on the now eliminated property tax measure over the last 3 years. I mean, that if you are a recipient of that, I'm sure you understand it better than I. Armed teachers bill that passed, a centralized case reporting system. Lawmakers approved a measure to require the state to establish a centralized court reporting system, which will in part enable background checks for firearm sales to accurately reflect case dispositions and keep guns out of the hands of people who are not lawfully allowed to have them. I love that idea. Required commitment for mentally incompetent defendants. Death penalty for child rapists. That was a big one. Lawmakers voted to allow the death penalty for defendants convicted of raping a child under 12 in an effort to challenge a 2008 U.S. Supreme Court ruling. This bill would allow capital punishment for adults convicted of raping a child with certain aggravating factors. The bill awaits the governor's signature. Penalties for minors with abortions without parental consent. That bill passed. They vacated TSU's board. They reformed the certificate of need requirements before providers can build or expand healthcare facilities in the state. Required school-based gun safety training, required age verification for porn sites, required age verification and parental consent for social media sites. Big bill, they did AI protection for musicians. There is a requirement in the law, and it's been signed into the law by the governor, that students view political fetal development video. School children in most Tennessee counties will be required to view a 3-minute animated video depicting fetal development, such as one produced by an anti-abortion political group, Live Action, regardless of parental consent, beginning in the 24-25 year. And that is now the law in Tennessee. $750,000 for security grants for houses of worship. That's interesting. To sort of toughen and harden school houses of worship around the state. I had not even heard a thing about that. It goes on. $15 million for charter school facilities. Ban state-funded gender-affirming hormone therapy for inmates. Open liability for out-of-state travel with minors for transgender therapies. Extended sexual assault suit statute of limitations. Prohibited unlicensed vehicle booting. And they banned chemtrails. Codifying a ban on so-called chemtrails. It was signed into law by the governor. And, a lot of people think there's much to chemtrails, but regardless, they are outlawed in Tennessee. There will be no chemtrails. It goes on. The Bible is the official state book. They designated November as Christian Heritage Month. It goes on. What they didn't do, however, is probably the one thing that they didn't do that I think they should, is unfinished business as far as I'm concerned. And that's the school voucher program, which is the governor's signature piece of legislation. They both came up, the House and the Senate both came up with different bills and just couldn't get it across the goal line for some reason. I think they said, well, it had to do with the House really wanted testing and the Senate didn't want testing. The Senate measure pretty much mirrored what the governor had asked for, The state added other things that the Senate found distasteful or unpleasant, or they just couldn't go along with. And there was an inability of the House and Senate to come to compromise. I wonder, it's just my wonder. I'm wondering out loud here. Just Wilson thinking out loud. I wonder if there was an unwillingness at the last minute to come across the goal line so they could stand behind it and say, well, there were differences between the two bodies and we couldn't come to it. But the real matter was a lot of members were getting heat on this measure and didn't want to have to take that vote. I wonder if I would say, if I were the governor, and thank goodness that's not the case, but if I were the governor, I would call them back in. I'd give them a couple, 2 weeks off, maybe a month off. I'd haul their butts back in and make them pass that bill. That just, I cannot believe we couldn't get across the goal line on that. A bill to fine parents for the crimes of delinquent children. This one, we talked about this from time to time when they were considering it, did pass the General Assembly. Legislation that would fine the parents of delinquent children who commit additional crimes has the support of the Tennessee General Assembly after the State House passed it on Monday. It goes to Governor Bill Lee for final approval before coming law. It could require juvenile courts to levy a $1,000 fine against children who are found to be delinquent in a second or subsequent delinquent act after already been found guilty of delinquency. Those unable to pay the fine could be granted community service. This was brought by State Senator Brent Taylor of Memphis. And we have too many juveniles on our street routinely committing crimes when they should be in school or at home. The bill holds parents accountable for the criminal acts of their children and incentivizes parents to monitor their children and contact law enforcement if their child is missing or up to no good. I sort of like this. I do believe that we need to make our parents more accountable. I don't understand how it is that, we have these things. I read them all the time, police incidents that occur with minors who are out on the streets at 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. They're carrying weapons and they're dealing or doing drugs, and the parents don't seem to know anything about it. How can that be? How can that be allowed? I mean, I'll tell you what. My dad knew everything I was doing, and I never got away with any of it. That's because my parents were involved, and Snoopy, and all the things that a good parent should be. I just think this is not necessarily a bad thing. Make parents accountable for the actions of the children. Some people, when we talked about this, it was controversial, but I'm sort of glad that got passed. And then there's this. Governor Lee signs a bill that could signal that Nashville is going to bring a Super Bowl to the city at some point. It is SB 2093, establishes an official policy for the maintenance of records by the Department of Tourist Development. As introduced, establishes the official policy for the maintenance of records. And the bill blocks the public from accessing certain document records, department records for up to a decade. And the idea is that, if you were doing those kinds of negotiations to get a Super Bowl, you would want them not to be public. And so apparently gave them, the tourism commissioner gets wide latitude to keep some documents confidential, perhaps regarding, a National Football League Super Bowl coming to Nashville, Tennessee with the new stadium. That would be great. We'll be, by the way, the new stadium, they say, will be up and completed and ready to go by 2027, just 3 years from now. So there's a wrap up of the things that were accomplished. Not everything, but we got most of the big stuff. Things that were accomplished, things that were not accomplished, and now we can all rest assured that life can return to normal because the state legislature has gone home for the year. In Texas, we used to have a saying: "No man, woman, or child or small animal is safe when the state legislature is in session." I wouldn't begin to say that about the state legislature of Tennessee, but one way or the other, the chaos that we have experienced will take a break. It is now 20 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. All right, folks, the chairman of the Federal Reserve has said we're on an unsustainable fiscal path we aren't going to pay off the $34 trillion debt anytime soon. They'll just print money to pay the interest on the debt and thus debase the U.S. dollar. Why don't you save with gold or other precious metals? And, look, I thought about this, and I said, I'd like to have some of that in my portfolio, but I really didn't have the knowledge I needed to make a smart decision. Well, listen, I went to Nashville Gold & Coin and got the professional guidance that I needed. You can do the same thing. You make an appointment. You sit down one-on-one with my friends at Nashville Gold & Coin. They'll answer all of your questions and help you make a precious metals investment that is right for you. It's friendly. You'll learn a lot. You will never be subjected to a high-pressure sales pitch. It's true, gold and silver can be a safe haven in uncertain economic times, and my friends at Nashville Gold & Coin are standing by to answer all your questions about the precious metals market. If you have some old coins laying around gathering dust, by the way, bring them along. You might be surprised just how much they're worth. To set up that one-on-one appointment, just go to NashvilleGoldandCoin.com. That's NashvilleGoldandCoin.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at CaliforniaClosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Campus protests growing across the country. Students in Washington, D.C. having a different tactic. An alleged kidnapping in Tennessee. And we've got another Boeing having to return mid-flight. 3:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It's 25 minutes past the hour, 3 o'clock on Super Talk on this Friday, April 26th. Glad we made it to Friday. Let's get you home safely so you can have a great weekend. I mean, I haven't looked at the forecast. Is it supposed to be okay this weekend?
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Good, good. That's great. Looking forward to that. So guys, I don't know what to do. I'm about to give up here. This robin keeps bashing into the window here in the studio. Now, I have a window. I guess it's to my left, screen right, if you're looking at home. And it looks out into Grogu's garden. There's a sort of a tree that comes up alongside the window, and this robin has been just coming and just bashing into the window and bashing into the window. It's very, I mean, you can't hear it on the microphone because I have special microphone stuff that keeps you from hearing it. But I won't get into a long explanation of what a gate is. But there it is right now. Now Cabana wife comes up here. I asked her, she was out running errands this morning. I said, go buy me a rubber snake.
Yeah.
And when I put it out there on the tree limb, and then that will scare the bird away, and that'll be the end of it. That's a nice way to solve it. And apparently, it's incredibly impossible to find a rubber snake.
Really?
Well, she couldn't find one. So she said, but I got the solution. So she comes up here a few minutes before the show, and she brings the giant snippers, and she's trimming the limbs away from the window so the bird doesn't have a place to perch.
Right.
Well, now the bird just comes flying at the window and has no place to, instead of just sitting on the limb and pecking at the window, it's a full-on body attack.
He's
flying into the window, it's the dead gum. I don't know what this little robin thinks is going on in that reflection, but I mean, not happy. That this bird is not happy with whatever it sees in the reflection, and I thought we had it, but no.
There must be a nest in that tree.
No, I've seen this robin flying in and out. There it is again, trying to get in that window, trying to hit that window. It's the darndest thing. But I've seen it flying around in Grogu's garden, so I think it's maybe down below if it is. But one way or the other, I got to figure this out because it is so distracting to be in the middle and you sense, what is that noise behind me?
Something's going on. Yeah.
I keep turning to see, is there somebody standing? No, it's just that dang bird again.
Does the bird see the anatomically correct goat? Thank you. You know where
we have no, I don't think so. That would be scary. Maybe I should put that up in the window.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know how it's seeing its reflection because every time I walk over there, the bird is frightened away. It sees me coming to the window, so it's not just looking at strictly a reflection.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't know. Well, I don't know what's wrong with this bird.
What you need to do is you don't do ladders anymore, but I was going to say get a ladder and climb up the ladder and see what you see when you look in that window. Maybe
I haven't thought about that.
On the Chris Hand Show, we talk a lot about how, our birds aren't real. Our birds aren't real. So maybe this robin is getting some serious,
it's a government drone trying to infiltrate your studio.
This bird is real. There's no doubt about it. Hey, do you know that we were on Final Jeopardy? Nashville was on Final Jeopardy.
Really?
Cool.
And I happen to have it here. You ready?
Yeah.
See if you know the answer to this question.
Okay. Here's your Final Jeopardy clue. The 42-foot-high statue of Athena in this state capital is the tallest indoor statue in the United States. 30 seconds. Good luck.
And they play the music,
Well, the question is, what is Nashville, right?
Yeah, the answer is what is Nashville.
Yeah.
But because none of them got it right.
Really?
The
Parthenon.
Now, I was thinking, I don't know if I would have gotten it right before I came to Nashville and went to the Parthenon.
Yeah, that's fair.
I just don't know that I would have thought Nashville.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known it.
No, I probably not.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here.
Let's see.
Justin Brandt was in third with $2,000. What city did you write down, Justin? What is Juneau? Not correct, I'm afraid.
No, hold it, no.
You wagered nothing at all. You stand pat at $2,000.
Juneau.
Tyler Jarvis was in second with $8,600. His response was, didn't quite finish Little Rock, incorrect. The wager was $4,599. You'll finish in second place with $4,001. But Amy Hummel had a 5-figure lead coming into final. Was she correct? She wrote down, what is Springfield? No, you had to think about that big replica of the Parthenon in Nashville. That's where the big Athena is. So you're going to drop down how much? A mere $5.
Yeah, but again, before I came to Nashville, I've heard of the Athens of the South. Mm-hmm. And I always thought, that's silly because there's an Athens, Georgia.
That's right. Go Dogs.
There's other Athens around the side.
Okay.
And so,
Shut up,
So, but then I saw it, and the story of the Parthenon is fascinating. It was built basically twice.
Really?
Once it was built as sort of a temporary building, and that was for the one of the I think was it the state's centennial celebration, maybe it was. And the people liked it so much they decided, well, we'll build a new one, right? We'll build one that's permanent. And they came back and built it. And then I think it was hit by a tornado.
Huh.
Just before they opened it, and they had to rebuild it again.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's fascinating, but that's the story. And I remember Dan Mandis got married right there.
That's right.
And we had our party underneath Athena.
Yeah, she was watching the whole thing.
31 past the hour now, 3 o'clock.
Now, 32 minutes after the hour of 3 o'clock, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. A beautiful weekend ahead, 84 degrees right now in Nashville. Weather forecast, traffic report coming up 5 minutes. As campus protests grow across the country, students in the Washington, D.C. area have joined together in one encampment calling on various colleges and universities to divest from anything related to Israel. Mary Alice Parks has more from the George Washington campus.
They made an interesting decision here in D.C., which was to make a collective citywide statement. So there are actually students behind the barricades from Georgetown University, American University, the University of Maryland, as well as GW. And it was interesting to me today that they talked about sort of how that spirit of a sort of a citywide movement was important to them to stand together as one.
And now here in Tennessee, an alleged kidnapping, 26-year-old Jamian Taylor, who was released from jail on Tuesday for assaulting a woman in an elevator, was arrested again today for trying to kidnap a 15-year-old girl. It was at Martin Luther King Jr. Magnet School this morning when a student saw Taylor, noticed him following her after she had gotten off the bus. That girl ran to the school, then told an adult. Taylor allegedly admitted to running after that student. He's now back in jail on a $75,000 bond. And a Delta Airlines Boeing 767 headed from New York to Los Angeles had to make a return to JFK Airport after a slide fell off the plane in midair. Alex Stone details.
While the 33-year-old Boeing 767 was in the air, vibrations could be felt just after takeoff. The pilots radioed in, saying indicators in the cockpit showed a latch involving the emergency slide over the right wing was open.
On the door, one of the latches is showing an open indication.
The audio from liveatc.net. The plane turned around and landed back in New York. That's when it was noticed the emergency slide had fallen off the plane. Delta says it fully supports retrieving that slide to help investigate how it came off.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
339 Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and buddy, on this April 26th beautiful Friday afternoon here in Middle Tennessee. Man, this is what makes living in Middle Tennessee good, this kind of weather right here. I did some research during the break. The original Parthenon was built in 1897 for the Tennessee Centennial Exposition. So it was the celebration of 100 years of Tennessee as a state, and it was a huge hit. There were about by Tennessee standards pretty big. About 1.8 million people visited the exposition, and they fell in love with this full-scale replica of the Parthenon. But it was built not to last. It was built out of plaster and wood, and it made it look like it was marble, but it was faux marble. It was really very cheaply built because they didn't expect it to be a permanent structure. And so by the 1920s, the thing had just deteriorated to the point where it was falling apart. And they decided, well, let's go ahead and build a real one. Let's go ahead and do that. And so in 1931, the rebuilt building, made out of concrete and all the other things you see now, was open to the public. And actually, I did not know this, and I may have known it, but I forgot it, that the statue of Athena really didn't come along until 1990.
Really?
Yeah. It was just they put a donation box up, and they saved a lot of money, and it took 8 years to finish the 42-foot statue, and it was unveiled in 1990. For 12 years, the statue was white, in white gypsum cement, but then they decided to make it more historically accurate, and they gilded it in gold.
So that's real gold.
It's real gold, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think it's pretty cool. But I remember when I went there, I read something about when they decided to build it permanently. It took about 10 years for them to do it, and I remember reading something about they got most of it done, and then something happened. I want to say I believe it was a tornado that damaged it, and they had to kind of start over from ground zero again. So it took longer to build than they expected. But it is a fabulous thing.
Yeah, very cool place.
Yeah, really over at Centennial Park. That's why they call it Centennial Park.
Oh,
it's where
years.
the Centennial Exposition took place.
Got it.
Yeah, isn't it funny though? We have things. I bet there are people within the sound of my voice lived here all their lives, never gone to see the Parthenon, never gone through it.
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how sometimes when something's in your own hometown, you don't go by and see it?
Yeah, you know it's there, but you just never bother to. Yeah.
For me, it was the Holocaust Museum. I never got by the Holocaust Museum in D.C. when I lived there 31 years, and everybody said, you got to go. It's really a compelling thing, and so I wanted to go, but I just, for one reason or another, never got there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the problem is when you work downtown in D.C., Monday through Friday, and then you live out in the boonies, and it's like, you've done that commute, for me, it was a 90-minute commute both ways. The last thing you want to do is go back downtown.
Absolutely.
So I don't feel that way about Nashville, though. Can you help me swamp it up a little bit here? Because I got to get to the swamp report here. There is a really fascinating story here on the New York Post. It's 13 pages long. Don't know that I'll get to all of it here, but inside the failed White House coup to oust Biden press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre. They go. This goes on and on. It's well sourced, a lot of information. There were a number of people that were asked to engage with Karine and suggest that maybe her time had been well spent, but it was time to go do something else. And the word came back. I'm shortening up this long thing. Word came back from Karine. No, I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here through the election. Here's a quote. There was an effort to have some outside folks who Karine knows and trusts talk to her about why leaving last fall would have made a lot of sense for her and her career, calling it an effort to encourage her to move along. Jean-Pierre, the person added, had been in the job for a year and a half at that point, pretty standard tenure for a press secretary, and I think that's in the modern era, that's probably true. It's a very demanding job. And some of these folks tried to have, say, they sent people by that she would trust and listen to and talk to her about, well, it might be nice if, you think about your career, Corrine, take advantage of what you've done and go, get the payoff. Jean-Pierre's predecessor, Jen Psaki, was press secretary for 1 week shy of 16 months. So it wouldn't have been unusual for her to leave at that point. But the word, she came back and she thinks, this is also, it's repeated several times throughout the story. She thinks she's doing a totally awesome job. She thinks she's the cat meow when it comes to press secretaries. And there's no way they were going to try to really actively shove her out. So they were trying to get people to go by and talk her into making a move and gently suggest that there were opportunities on the outside. She should take advantage of them. Think about your long-term career. But listen to this. I think Corrine has decided to stay come hell or high water, and that's it. And while Jean-Pierre is not going anywhere, the issues that brought about the machinations to get her to leave said is that press secretary is too reliant on notes to provide the pushback and quick thinking that is needed for that job. She thinks she's doing an amazing job. She doesn't have a grasp of the issues and doesn't spend the time to learn, is the knock on her within the White House, which I thought was pretty interesting. I think the most interesting thing about Corrine Jean-Pierre is that she comes in every day and she doesn't seem to have any real information.
I don't have anything. 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 I just don't have anything. I don't have anything. We don't have anything. I just don't have anything. Don't have anything. So I don't have anything. 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 I just don't have anything. I just don't have
This goes on for 1:50.
I don't have anything.
And this is not even by any stretch of the imagination a complete gathering at the time she says this. I mean, some of these are like 4 or 5 in one press briefing. You can tell because she's wearing the same clothes every time she says it.
I don't have anything. I don't have anything. I don't have anything. I just don't have anything. I'm just saying that I just don't have anything.
Anyway, I thought it very interesting that they really did try to push her out. Now, in typical Washington fashion, when you
don't have anything, I just don't have.
Sorry, that's getting irritating. In typical Washington fashion, everybody that they talk to on the record, oh, no, we love her. She's great. She's doing a fantastic job. What are you talking about? This is wildly irresponsible reporting. But it's not. And it's all well documented. But I think the two things I walked away with is, number one, within the White House, there's recognition she's not very good. And by the way, they also go into all the tension between her and John Kirby. See, she wasn't up to the task of talking about nuanced issues of foreign policy and national security. And they brought Kirby in to sort of answer those kinds of questions. And a lot of people think Kirby would be the perfect person to be the press secretary, but there's the delicate thing of how do you get rid of a gay black woman without stirring up a lot of, hornets in that regard. So it's just come to the fact that Corrine is not going to be run out. She's going to stay there, I think, until further notice. Although this story may have been another one of those examples of an effort to sort of move along, Corrine. Time to go do something else. I don't know. Pretty interesting stuff. Biden administration has finalized new rules to restrain fossil fuel power plant carbon emissions. This is not going to work well. I mean, they are putting these onerous burdens on any fossil fuel power plant. They have to capture their carbon emissions, etc. Very expensive stuff. So what the end result of all this is the new regulations will require old plants to just shut down, and they're just not going to replace them. They will not build new fossil powered power plants because the requirements are just too onerous and the cost of electricity would be going. But one thing or the other, if people do decide to keep their carbon plants, it's going to cost more for electricity because they got to add all of this goop on there to sort of scrub the emissions of the plant. And it comes at a time when we're being told AI is going to need a lot more energy. I mean, AI, believe it or not, takes a tremendous amount of power. It's unbelievable how much power is necessary for AI to do its work. There have been people who have been reporting that we don't have the power grid to support that. We certainly don't have the power grid to support electric vehicles in every home. And I think that the Biden administration, I don't know what their plan is, because they keep doing things to that force power companies to shut down plants at a time when we don't have enough power, and they won't even talk about nuclear. So again, your government, your federal government at work, and the Biden administration just doing things that just don't seem to make sense. Then I found this story I thought is very interesting from the nationalpulse.com. House Judiciary Committee and House Select Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government have uncovered evidence that the federal government pressured at least 13 banks into handing over American conservatives information without a warrant. The U.S. Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network and the Federal Bureau of Investigation told financial institutions, including Bank of America, Chase, Citibank, and Wells Fargo, to sift customer transactions for so-called extremism indicators, such as using the term Trump. Searches, including the term MAGA, were also included as an extremism indicator, along with purchases of the Bible. This all was post-January 6th. They asked them to go through the transactions at hunting, fishing, and camping stores like Bass Pro Shops and Dick's Sporting Goods. At least 211 Americans had their personal information transferred to the FBI by Bank of America on January 17th, 2021. The bank was asked for more details on weapons-related transactions among the group, leading to criminal background queries into 4 bank customers. Federal agents established multiple leads on additional persons after this, but they had to be pulled because there were no allegations of federal criminal conduct. Warrantless surveillance going on simply if you happen to do a Google search or spend money buying Bibles. Scary, isn't it? Just terrifying. 51 minutes now past the hour of 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Donald Trump hush money trial update. Former Titan scout that was indicted in the death of his girlfriend and unborn child now released from jail. We could see debates this time around in the presidential election. We'll tell you all about it. Those stories at 4. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath on that one, but I know what you're talking about. It's an interesting story. Listen, let's take a look at the markets real quick. Dow Jones Industrial average up 153 points. The S&P was up 51. The NASDAQ was up, 2%, 316 points. So what's driving the market today? Let's talk to John Maxon over at Beacon Capital Management for more on that. Good afternoon, John.
Hey, good afternoon, Brian. Yeah, good day on the market, and it was a great day for the NASDAQ and tech. That was predominantly really catapulted by Google and Microsoft earnings that came in really high. Google is up 10%. It crossed $2 trillion in value today, and then Microsoft up 2%. So the hopes are the Magnificent Seven can lift the broader market, but at the same time, we got a pretty sticky inflation report today. The Fed's PCE index, which is their favorite inflation gauge, was higher than expected, 2.8 versus 2.7 last year to this year. But the first quarter was 4.4%, so that probably means higher rates for longer. But for today, the market really cheered the tech earnings. We'll see what happens next week.
All right. Thank you very much, John. And learn about all the things that John and the other great people over at Beacon Capital Management can do to help you get ready for your retirement. Just go to their website, askbeaconnow.com. 59 minutes past the hour of 3 o'clock. By now, you've heard me talk about King & Associates. You know, they've been around some 25 years in Brentwood as an independent agency. And let me tell you, that's exactly what you want. Independent agency is going to be working for you. And they don't have to just take whatever one product they have and sell it to you. They can look at a bunch of different companies, a bunch of different products to find the insurance that really fits your need. In other words, you're going to get more bang for your insurance buck. And isn't that what you want? I think so. Listen, if you call this number 615-329-8121, you're going to get a person who answers. Try that with the people who sell insurance on the internet. You ever try that? You can't get people on the phone for hours. No, so somebody will answer your call, answer your question, or get you to somebody who can right away. They are the kings of the multi-policy discount. There are huge savings possible of 20, 25, 30, 35%. So get your royal review with King & Associates Insurance. Just log on to tkinginsurance.com. That's tkinginsurance.com. King Insurance & Associates, royal treatment and great rates.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
.401, I'm Mac Maury with your top stories. Right now, 84 degrees, a little heat picking up here in Music City. We'll keep it this weekend, sunny days ahead. Traffic, complete weather forecast, 5 minutes. The latest on the Donald Trump hush money trial, Dave Packer.
Testifying in Donald Trump's hush money case, the second witness, Trump's longtime aide Rona Graff, testifying that Trump kept contact information for two women who allegedly had sexual relationships with him, Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels. Graff testifying that she also entered a contact for Stormy Daniels, saying it contains her mobile phone number. Referring to Ms. Daniels, Graff saying she had, quote, a vague recollection of seeing her in the reception area on the 26th floor of Trump Tower. Graff saying she also knew Daniels was a porn star. During cross-examination, attorney Susan Necklace reframing Graff's testimony, suggesting that Stormy Daniels was spotted in Trump Tower because she was being considered for a role on The Apprentice. Graff from the witness stand confirming she was aware through office chatter that Daniels was being considered for that show. Graff, after short testimony, has now concluded her time on the witness stand.
Right now in Tennessee, the former Titan scout indicted in the death of his girlfriend and unborn baby, now released from jail. 28-year-old Blaze Taylor was released after paying 10% of his $2.5 million bond, $250,000. Taylor, accused of poisoning Jade Benning on February 25th of last year and that unborn baby, which Taylor allegedly fathered. At a recent court hearing, a medical examiner testified that Benning had so much cocaine in her system she couldn't have died from recreational use. A U.S. federal judge ordered jurors who say they're deadlocked to resume deliberating Monday in a lawsuit about an infamous Iraq prison. Chuck Sievertson.
A Virginia-based military contractor is accused of being liable for physical and sexual abuses of inmates at the Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq 2 decades ago, after the U.S. invasion. It's a civil lawsuit in federal court in Alexandria, Virginia. 3 former detainees are suing CACI. Contractors worked as interrogators in support of short-handed U.S. Army soldiers. The company says it shouldn't be liable when employees were under direction of the Army.
In election 2024, President Joe Biden said he will debate former President Donald Trump ahead of this year's election, though he said he didn't know in what format. Quote, "I'm somewhere, I don't know when," Biden said when asked by interviewer Howard Stern whether he planned to debate his predecessor. "I'm happy to debate him," he said. It's the first time Biden has said explicitly he would debate Trump in this election cycle. Previously, he said it would depend on Trump's behavior. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Good afternoon, everybody. 8 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk, Friday, April 26th. Man, gorgeous day going. And we're heading into what looks to be a really nice weekend. I mean, what else could you ask for? So let's get you home safely. Listen, this hour, we're going to be doing Phone Your Farb Friday in about 4:35 or so. And so if you have something on your mind, something that you've been wanting to get off your chest, get it together, because we're going to do that at 4:35, and again at 5:35. I don't like to consider it a competition, honestly. But we do sort of. We can't help ourselves but notice that sometimes the 4 o'clock group is good, and sometimes the 5 o'clock group is good, and we compare and contrast those 2 hours. So we'll do that, but we'll have to get the first one done at 4:35, and then we'll see what happens at 5:35, whether they can top it.
Yeah, we want you to start strong, but
that's right.
We want you to finish strong as well.
That's right. And sometimes, it's very clear which hour is better. And then sometimes it's a real difficult thing to call.
Yeah, sometimes it's neck and neck.
It is. All right. So anyway, that's going to happen. I think we should do the 2024 update now. This is mostly all about Biden, but there's a lot of stuff that we got to plow through here that I think you're going to find interesting. As we do our 2024. No numbers today. Numbers usually don't come out on a Friday. I know you're going, oh, thank goodness, man. I'm tired of these numbers. The story that is getting a lot of attention about Biden, and of course, they're really concerned about how he looks weak. And there's been polls out that show that the American people just don't think he's up for another run. And so one of the times that he looks really, really fragile and weak is when he walks out to the chopper across the White House lawn and gets into the Marine One and flies away. And it's because he's just sort of out there by himself. He has this weird little shuffle that he does. Some people say it has to do with some peripheral neuropathy and some arthritis that he has in his lower back. That's why he walks in that stiff and awkward way, but it makes him look very old. And so they're saying, well, what can we do about this? Well, they changed his shoes because they thought that maybe that would make his gait a little more normal and maybe he wouldn't stumble quite as much. And now what they've done is they've decided we should surround him as he walks to the chopper with other people to sort of block the camera, but to basically also distract the camera away from. And when you see an old man doddering across the lawn, and that's the only thing that you see, then you notice an old man doddering across the lawn. But if you see a group of people, you may not notice that as much. That's the thinking. President Biden from Fox News has made a noticeable change to his routine of walking to and from Marine One as voters continue to express concerns about his age. Biden could previously be seen traveling across the south lawn of the White House to his helicopter solo, but the president had recently been flanked by several aides. The new pattern is reportedly meant to create a visual effect that draws less attention to Biden's shuffling and sometimes awkward and stiff gait. G-A-I-T, gait. Several Biden advisors told the outlet that the videos of the 81-year-old president walking alone across the grass should highlight his age to reporters and voters. The new images and videos of the president are more favorable, and aides will continue to join Biden. The advisors also revealed, of course, this idea came from Biden himself. I don't know why, but now you will see him he'll have. The president can't walk to the chopper alone. He will now have an entourage. There will always be an entourage. Got to have your entourage. So there you have that. The president says that he's happy to debate Trump. Now, this was, I think, a pretty big shock to his campaign and all of his political advisors, but he's on the Howard Stern show doing an interview with Howard Stern, and Howard Stern sort of blooped it out there, and this was the answer. Oh, hang on, one more time. Make sure we got this going. Here's the answer.
I don't know if you're going to debate your opponent.
I am somewhere. I don't know when. I'm happy to debate him.
Happy to debate him. And Trump said anywhere, anytime, any place. I have a feeling that when that was said on the Howard Stern show, that his entire campaign team puckered. I bet you they went, what? No, you're not going to do a debate.
I don't know if you're going to debate your opponent.
I am somewhere. I don't know when. I'm happy to debate him.
Well, there you go. That was a shock to the shock jock is what that was, and to everybody else. There were other great little stories that Biden told on the Howard Stern show. You know, the man's incapable of doing any kind of sit-down interview without geezing about the old days and the things that he's done. Many of these things have been sort of disproven over time. You know, they go back and they look and they find, well, there's no evidence that actually happened. Here's Biden talking about how he has saved the lives of 6 people.
Did you ever save anyone's life when you were a lifeguard? Was anyone ever drowning?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, well, half a dozen times. Usually younger kids, you know, but...
you do the thing with the whistle and then jump in the bathing suit? And
you got it.
No kidding.
Yeah, there's a big pool. There were 7 lifeguard stands.
Wow. See, that would define my... I would brag about that everywhere I went.
Well, by the way, I did it up in Lake Ontario, too, when I was in law school. But look, one of the things that...
Well, you saved a dude's life when you were in law school? You were still doing the lifeguard thing?
The lifeguards, I mean, you know, people just need help sometimes. I mean, it's not like it's so heroic.
Not so, like, it's not heroic. No, he's downplaying. But just, I've saved the lives of several people. Okay. He claims that when he was a younger senator, that he was sent salacious pictures by women. I'm not making it up.
I got put in that 10 most eligible bachelor's list.
Because you were a United States senator, you were a catch. Yeah.
And so, and a lot of lovely women, but women would send very salacious pictures, and I'd just give them to the Secret Service. I thought somebody would think I was, and I just gave up.
I don't know where that end of that thing just sort of devolved, but this part of it is palpably not true.
And a lot of lovely women, but women would send very salacious pictures, and I'd just give them to the Secret Service. I thought somebody would think I was. And
yeah, he gave them to the Secret Service. He was a senator. Senators don't have Secret Service protection. He had no connection at all with the Secret Service when he was a senator. In fact, there would be Capitol Police, perhaps, but not the Secret Service. But apparently, women were sending him, he says, salacious pictures. He brags once again about what was, by all accounts, a lackluster career in football, in high school and in college.
But for example, I remember starting off playing Catholic League football, CIO football.
By the way, I don't think a lot of people know that you were a star receiver in high school. You were the first string guy. You were the guy who caught the ball.
Runner-up in state scoring, you know.
Wow.
But I was a runt.
He was a runt, he said, I think, the last part. But this whole thing about runner-up in the state, in the entire state, he was the runner-up receiver, I guess it was, has been fact-checked many, many times and not found to be true. Nobody can find evidence of that. And then he often has talked about how he was arrested during the civil rights days. And he told this story about his mom. It's weird the way it came out. But rather than try to explain it, let's just play it.
And I looked at my mom. I said, honey, you haven't said anything. She said, Joey, remember?
Joey.
True story. She said, remember when they were desegregating Linfield, a neighborhood? There was, 70 homes built at one suburbia. And I told you, and there was a black family moving in, and there was people who were down there protesting. I told you not to go down there, and you went down. Remember that? And you got arrested by standing on the porch with a black family.
Right.
And they brought you back, the police. And I said, yeah, Mom, I remember that.
All right. He was arrested for standing on a porch with black people. Well, he might have been detained. I don't know what exactly happened here, but is there an arrest record? No. That has been fact-checked as well. So, I mean, he just comes up with these wild stories. He's just full of them. And many of them have been palpably proven to be not true. The most famous one is, the story about riding 1,000,000 miles on Amtrak, and that whole story, that's been absolutely debunked. And it can't possibly be true because the person he attributes the quote to was dead at the time that the story broke. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out more about it. I'm sure we'll hear a lot more stories. But the big news, he says, debate. Happy to debate Trump. And Trump, of course, will no doubt be very excited about that because he says he'll anytime, any place. We'll see. I bet I'm willing to put down a buck on this one. I don't think that the debate will ever take place. We'll see. Biden's approval ratings mired at a historic low, according to Gallup. President Biden's approval rating is lower than any other president in recent history at the same point at this time in their White House experience, according to information released today. The president averaged 38.7% job approval in his 13th quarter in office, which ran from January 20th to April 19th, according to averages aggregated by Gallup. In the same quarter, former President Trump had a 46.8% approval rating. Former President Obama was at 45.9%. Former President George W. Bush was at 51%, according to Gallup. And again, the president, at this particular point in his presidency, is at 38.7%. The second lowest of Biden in that time was former President H.W. Bush, who had an approval rating of 41%. So even that was higher. Gallup's latest poll, to add to the average, was conducted in April, found Biden's approval rating at 38% in March. Gallup's poll found him at 40% approval, and in February it was 38%. So somewhere between 38 and 40%, but not good. I mean, when you look historically at where presidents are at this point, and especially those that got reelected, they were well up in the 40s. The man is, if you look at all of these things and you start to add them up, you just say, well, how in the world is this guy going to get reelected? But I got to tell you, the national polls are tightening up a bit, with Trump still leading in 6 out of the 7 battleground states, according to the Bloomberg Battleground poll. It is 20 minutes now past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. USS, where they do their best. You want to call them if you've got problems with structural issues around your house. You know, they've been around since 94 with 25,000 satisfied renters, more than that, actually. So, I mean, if you got the cracks in the bricks and the sticky windows and doors and you see things that are not quite right, you know what they are. You see all the cracks, doors that stick, drywall separating. These are signs of a structural issue, but you may also want to look for waterproofing issues. Standing water in a crawl space, wet basement walls, musty odors or floor joists that have wood rot, cracks in basement floors, and hardwood floors that are cupping because of the moisture underneath. All of these are signs that you've got water issues, and you really should call them. This stuff can really take its toll on your house. They'll come to your house, they'll do an assessment, they'll give you their best advice as to how you solve these problems and how to go forward. And if you decide to go forward, you don't pay a penny until the job is over and you are completely satisfied. USS, they guarantee their best, serving Middle Tennessee, Southern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, online at USSTN.com or call this number, 615-488-7855.
I do everything from scrubbing cages to asking people for donations to answering the phones and helping facilitate getting animals to the rehab. I'm there on the weekends, up there taking care of animals with the team.
You got a great team there. It's a small team, but a great team that works together. And
I started about 20 years ago. My dear friend Carol Burgess founded Harmony in Fairview.
Okay.
And we decided to reopen it in West Nashville. And we are rocking along. Lots of animals. One of the primary calls that we get are, I found a bird, it's on the ground, what do I do? And in most situations, you should let it alone unless there's an imminent danger to that animal, because the parents are helping it and feeding it, and it just needs a couple of scary days on the ground until it gets back up into flight. What about bunnies, Melody? Can we give advice about bunnies?
The bunnies, they're just the sweetest, most innocent creatures, and we just see the worst things happen to them. Cats, dogs, lawnmowers, weed whackers.
In most cases, if that animals aren't injured. If you can put the rabbits back, that's always better to be with the mother rabbit than to come to us.
All the storms that have been coming through and just destroying nests, and a lot of babies will be found on the ground. Re-nesting is possible and preferable.
You play the video calls and you put the baby near where they found it, and the mama will actually come down and pick it up and then bring it back.
Oh, nice.
Isn't that cool?
Nice.
Donald Trump speaking to the media after his hush money trial wraps up for this week, but he wasn't speaking to them about the trial. We'll tell you what it was. Plus, Money News, 4:30 Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
25 minutes now past the hour, 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. Brian Wilson in the chair on the air on this Friday. We're going to get things wrapped up, get you a lot of information while you're headed home so you can kick back and enjoy what it looks like it's going to be a great weekend. All right, let's do that. So be careful out there. I want to talk about TikTok. No, not that kind of TikTok. I'm talking about TikTok, the app. Chris, you have a younger son, still at home.
Yep.
Into the TikTok?
He is or has at least at some point been on TikTok. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I've looked at TikTok. I think it's fascinating. I mean, if you look at TikTok, and I've downloaded the app for a moment or two and just decided I got to find out what this TikTok thing is all about. What about you, Mac? Do you do TikTok? Do your friends do TikTok or not?
I do the TikToks.
We do the TikToks.
We do the TikToks. My least favorite thing about TikTok is that the death scroll. You just end up 60 minutes in. You're like, oh, gosh, what am I doing?
Where did that hour go? That's right. It's a big time suck. Yeah.
Huge time suck. That's the one reason I've considered getting rid of it. But, yeah, I live with, my fiance is obsessed with it. So, yes, big TikToker as well.
See, now this makes my point. The Congress has passed a bill, and the president has signed it into law, that will require TikTok to either divest and be sold to an American entity or to simply be banned. Those are the two options. Now, it's going to be a little while before that happens. This ban would not go in effect until after the election. But there are 170 million Americans who are on TikTok. 170 million Americans who are watching dance videos. That's what I see. I see cat videos and dance videos when I look. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I never got deep enough into it that it figured out the kinds of things I wanted to actually see, which Facebook has seemed to figure out just fine.
I think you need to go any deeper than that.
Yeah, but to me, it was a lot of dancing, and the dancing things are interesting, but after all, I think after I've seen maybe 30 or 40 of them, I think I've seen everything I need to see. If that's what TikTok is, I'm not all that interested, but I know it's more than that. One way or the other, this is going to be a big deal. TikTok law kicks off a new showdown between Beijing and Washington. What's coming next? Legislation that U.S. President Joe Biden signed this week could allow Washington to widen its scope to target other Chinese-related apps, such as the popular e-commerce platform Temu. Yeah, listen, that's just as bad as the TikTok, I tell you, when it comes to national security concerns. See, the problem is, and I don't know everything that they know, because they go into these classified briefings, and I'm telling you, when they come out of these classified briefings, they are wide-eyed at exactly what TikTok actually is and exactly what happens with the information that's on your phone that they now are able to look and peruse through. You signed off on it when you did the user agreement, and they basically, as I have been led to believe, all the real key, crucial information that's on your phone will sit on a server inside China. And the Chinese Communist Party, they have all of the requirements are that we have a back door into what you're doing. If you're going to be in that business, we need to have access to what it is that you have access to. And they have a back door that they can go in and look. So the idea is basically that the Chinese Communist Party can look at stuff that's on your kid's phone or on your phone. And they say it is a huge, huge national security risk. It's why government employees are not allowed to put it on their work phones. They're not allowed to do that, and it's not allowed in the military. But one way or the other, they're really concerned about it. And when they come out of those briefings, they seem to be, yep, as much as I hate to say it, we need to get rid of the TikTok, or it needs to be divested into a United States company. The other political part of this is that it looks like this could be a real hit for Joe Biden. From thehill.com, GOP's inclusion of TikTok ban is a secret weapon against Biden. Democrats are bracing for a backlash from young voters over the potential ban of TikTok on U.S. phones, something made more likely by the Chinese government's opposition to ByteDance selling off one of the most sophisticated algorithms in the world. It's a problem for President Biden, who won 60% of voters 18 to 29 years old in the 2020 election, but has seen his support drop to 45% of that key demographic, according to a recent Harvard poll. An NBC poll published in November even showed former President Trump leading Biden among voters 18 to 34 nationwide, 46 to 42%. Young people are leaving the Biden camp in droves. They don't like him. They're upset with him. That's why he's been trying to buy them back by paying off their college loans, etc. Democrat strategists have attributed Biden's struggles with young voters to the president's age, 81, and dissatisfaction over his handling of the war in Gaza, which has sparked protests on college campuses across the country. If you add to that a potential TikTok ban, it could be another headwind for the president. While a ban wouldn't go in effect before Election Day, TikTok plans to fight it vigorously and has warned its devoted fan base that the popular app could disappear from their home phones, so they'll be knowing about it. A higher percentage of Americans under 30 oppose the ban. An Associated Press Center for Public Affairs research poll published earlier this year found that 73% of Americans who use TikTok on a daily basis oppose the ban. A poll of 1,000 Americans conducted by CNBC found that 48% of people between the ages of 18 and 34 opposed banning TikTok. Another poll conducted by ClearPath Strategies found 51% of black voters, another important Democratic constituency, said they oppose a ban and view the app favorably. Another problem for the Biden camp. Time for the news now at 4:32.
.432, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. 84 degrees right now in Nashville. We got a weather forecast and a traffic report 5 minutes away. Former President Trump's New York hush money trial is wrapped for the week. The former president is facing felony charges related to a 2016 hush money payment made to porn star Stormy Daniels. After court, the former president stopped to speak to the media, but not about the trial. He was focused on debating President Biden, who told Howard Stern earlier that he'd be happy to debate Trump.
We're willing to do it Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, or Friday night on national television. We're ready. Just tell me where. We'll do it at the White House. That would be very comfortable, actually.
And before President Biden said debating Trump would depend on his behavior. Now over to some money news. Daria Albinger filling us in.
Stocks rose for the day and the week. The Dow soared 154 points, NASDAQ added 316, and the S&P closed up 52. Better than expected earnings from Alphabet, Google's parent company, and Microsoft pushed the markets toward their first winning week in a month. J.P. Morgan's CEO, Jamie Dimon, says he's hopeful the Federal Reserve can bring down inflation without causing a recession, but he isn't ruling out more troubling scenarios like stagflation. Dimon, considered by many to be the nation's most influential banker, told the Associated Press that he's cautious about the U.S. economy. Stagflation occurs when the economy is weak or it's in a recession, but prices keep moving higher. A measure of inflation the Fed tracks closely remains high, and it could reinforce the central bank's reluctance to cut interest rates anytime soon. Prices were up 2.7% in March, up from 2.5% in February.
And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
It is 39 minutes past the hour. Let's get right into it. I'm excited. It's a good day. We're going to have a great round of this little thing that we like to call Phone Your Farb Friday. That's right. What's on your mind? 615-737-9986. That's the magic number you call and express yourself. And maybe you got to be in your bonnet. Maybe you got a burr under your saddle. Maybe you have a bug in a place. I hope you never ever have a bug, especially if it's a cicada. We don't want that. So listen, just 615-737-9986, and you'll have an opportunity to step up on our 100,000 watt soapbox and get it off your chest and tell us what's on your mind. Within boundaries, because it is, remember, a family show. So let's get after it right now. We already have 4 people stacked up, and we have a couple of lines open. Let's get busy, folks. Let's get those lines full. Let's start with, I'm pulling a bit, Steve in Cookville. Steve, you're on with Brian on the drive. Good afternoon, Steve.
Okay, this bill arms teachers. What if the principal wants to carry? Who signs for him? Number 2, who pays for all these background checks and psych evaluations and everything like that? 3, the training, 40 hours, is that a one-time deal or is that every year? And finally, if the teacher changes schools within the same county, does the new principal have to sign off?
Well, I would guess that a principal could sign off for himself, but you remember you also need the superintendent of schools to sign off on it, so there's another level of check there. The thing about 40 hours a week, as I recall, it is required that you do 40 hours of training every year. So that would be not a one-time requirement. I don't know who pays for the background checks, etc. Listen, I think a lot of people have questions about this, but the way I look at it is this. This is not going to be used very often. And all of the histrionics that we saw at the state legislature seemed like to me, it was really sound and fury that was overblown and signifying not much, because there are already 32 states where this is done, and we've not heard of the case after case after case where something has happened in a bad way because a teacher was doing a concealed carry. So anyway, I don't know, but that's the best I can answer on those questions. A lot of good questions there. Thank you for the call, Steve. Appreciate it. Jimmy in Shelbyville, you're up next on the drive. What's up, Jimmy?
Yes. Is this Brian?
Yeah, this is me. Go ahead, Jimmy.
On the state legislature, is that fella Jones from Memphis?
Is he what?
Is he from Memphis?
No, he represents the Nashville area.
Oh, is he the one that's causing all the trouble?
Well, yeah, I would say that some people would suggest he's causing trouble by calling everybody a racist there at the state legislature.
Yeah, well, I was just wondering where he was from.
Well, he's from the Nashville area. He's one of the Justins. We have 2 Justins. But thank you for the call, Shelby, and thank you for listening, man. I appreciate it. Let's check in with Malika in Nashville. Hello, Malika. You're up with Brian on the drive. What's on your mind today?
Hey, Brian. How are you, sir? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
All right, thank you. I want to talk about, I go to a lot of thrift stores. I love music. I listen to Skinner, to Florence Crutch, to Lionel Richie, you know it. I listen to it. And I buy CDs there. And it is annoying that a lot of kids are just running around, bikes all over, playing with toys. There's no parents in sight. And I'm not trying to do anything. I'm not trying to be dumb or anything, but half of those kids that do it are basically foreign. The parents do not pay attention to the kids, and it's just so ridiculous. So I'll hang up and listen. Thank you, Brian.
All right. Thank you for that. Well, I mean, bad behavior with dadgum, those kids. Why don't you get off my lawn? No, I don't know. I do think that parents do not require their kids to behave. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I sound like a geezer when I say this, and I come from a completely different generation. But all my dad had to do, or my mom had to do, to get me in line was to raise an eyebrow. I mean, they just gave you the look, and you knew well, I've overstepped my boundaries here. But those days I think are gone. Now we want to be everybody, kids. Parents want to be their friends of their kids, which I want you to be friendly with your kids. I want you to have a good relationship with your kids, but you're the parent and they're the kid. And that seems to be lost, it seems to me, a lot these days. But that's just me being an old geezer, I suppose. John in Murfreesboro, what's up with you, John? What's on your mind?
Hi, Brian. I'm all about this school protesting in Palestine, Hamas, and Israel. I'm willing to gladly send any liberal student from Belmont and Vanderbilt, wherever, to Gaza. They have to stay there 1 year. They have to protest. They have to see what they can do, because I'm very sure Sharia law is very women-powered and very liberal, and they can't go over to Israel. They can't seek shelter there. They have to see how wrong and uneducated they are. I mean, this is ridiculous that I cannot see that they act like this.
Yeah, I don't understand what happened, and where along the line did we lose sight of the fact that Israel is one of our strongest allies in that region and has been. And many people of the Christian faith believe in protecting Israel and having a strong state there for a strong Jewish state. But I don't know. It's somewhere along the line, this whole thing just sort of seeped in. And I also want to say this. What you see out there, a lot of those kids are not students. They're not. They're simply not. These are organized protesters, and yeah, they happen on school campuses, and yes, there are some students involved, don't get me wrong, but, what I've seen from the reporters who've gone on campus and talked to Jewish students is they say, we've never seen some of these people. We don't know where they come from, but they don't belong on this campus, and they're not students here. We've never seen them. So I think you have to understand that a lot of what you're seeing here is being organized by very liberal groups, and it is having an impact on policy. Is the sad thing, because as I mentioned a moment ago, Biden can't afford to lose young votes, and if people are engaged in this thing and enlisting in this idea that somehow we need to support Palestine and not Israel, he has to walk a fine line there. So he is sort of pulling his punch on some of these protests. And when it comes to condemning it, he has condemned them, but not as strongly as I think he probably should. How about Ed in Unionville, who tells me he is a new listener? We love new listeners. Ed, what's on your mind today?
Hi, Brian. Great show. I've been listening to it for, I guess, about a month or so, and I just can't shake the channel, so I appreciate you. I'm just lost in this world. People griping about what would be a good thing as far as arming teachers in school. I'd be all about it. My child's getting ready to graduate, my last one. But I would be all about it if he was in first grade. Because that teacher can get there way faster than, it takes for the law enforcement. And I'm not saying law enforcement's slow. I just, how much time it took to get to the school here in Nashville. But
yep.
I mean, you keep playing things from the president. He's obviously in another world. That's all I can say about it. The standing president, Joe Biden.
The sitting president, or
yes, sir.
Or shuffling president, whatever you call it. Well, listen, I appreciate those thoughts. As far as the school gun thing, way overblown, and completely out of line. I just can't understand why, when it's been going on for so long in some 32 other states, why all of a sudden we think it's a horrible thing here. And again, the numbers, 6 people were killed in Covenant School in 3 minutes. The police arrived at minute number 8, 5 minutes behind all the carnage. So, I just simply think that if I had a kid in school, I'd want to know that there's somebody who was trained who could at least try to do something to protect the children. That's what I would want. Ed, thank you for the call, and thank you for being a new listener. We appreciate you. Stick around. How about let's go to Irwin in Nashville. Irwin, hello. You're on with Brian on the Drive.
Yes, I'm doing fine. Thanks, Brian. Brian, I got an unusual question.
Okay.
It's
curiosity got me apprehended regarding Pat Sajak on the Wheel of Fortune.
Mm-hmm.
He used to, during the bonus question, if a female, he used to hold the hand and take it to the spot where they concentrate on that thing, but he no longer hold the hands of the females. Now, the male, he wouldn't hold the hand, we know that.
Yeah.
But he doesn't he doesn't do it no more. I wonder if you know something about it. Did he accidentally hold the hand of some different gender or a male accidentally? That's why they quit. Controversial.
I gotta be honest with you. That thought has not crossed my mind, but I did notice a change. Yes, occasionally I watch the Wheel of Fortune, but I think it sort of started to change during COVID when they were keeping distance. In other words, they were doing that, and they would say, he would point to the little mark on the floor where they were supposed to stand. There's your mark right there. But you're right. In the old days, he used to lead in a sort of a gallant way, I thought, women contestants to the spot and said, here's your spot. But now after COVID, and they decided to, keep distance from each other, I think that all changed, and I don't think they went back to the old way of doing things. Pat Sajak, am I right? Is my memory correct? This is his last season, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to miss him.
Yeah, what is it? Ryan Seacrest, right?
I don't know.
They said was taking over for him?
I can't remember. I got to look that up. This is the last season to enjoy all of those Sajakisms.
He had Sajakisms?
I don't know. I guess he did. But I know people who know him and people who have actually worked for him, and they speak very highly of him as being a really good guy. 51 past the hour now, 4 o'clock. Good round, everybody. We'll do it again in an hour. There's a pill for just about everything, but you need to understand that, diagnoses are sometimes wrong, and not all pills are good for you. When you get a diagnosis for European auto repair, you really should get a second opinion before you make a major decision. Eurofix is the home for second opinions. Before you spend hundreds or even thousands of dollars on European vehicle repair for a diagnosis you got somewhere else, why don't you go to Eurofix? It can not only save your vehicle's life, but could actually save you from a lot of stress that ruins, and makes you all worn out. Life's too short to get stressed out and angry. Be happy and go to Eurofix. At Eurofix, you get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with an estimate at every visit. No high-pressure sales tactics. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. At Eurofix, you never pay dealer prices. Locations in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. Call 844-EUROFIX or visit myEurofix.com and tell them your friend and radio buddy Brian Wilson sent you.
The guaranteed offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Another day in the Donald Trump trial, an alleged kidnapping of a 15-year-old girl, a gambling scandal in Iowa, and that former Tennessee Titans scout indicted in the death of his girlfriend and unborn child, now released from jail. 5 o'clock, all right here. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, Mac Morey, who is the star attraction when we get to 5:25 each day for Mac Morey's wide, weird, wacky world of sports. And we got big news to talk about with the NFL draft underway, and we didn't get the guy maybe we were looking for, but I want to get your take, Mac. Well, can't wait to hear what you think about the number one draft pick for the Titans this season. It's all straight ahead at 5:25. Coming up also in the 5 o'clock hour, another round of Phone Your Farb Friday. So if you didn't get in or you listened and thought, I have something to say about that, you'll get another chance. It is 58 minutes past the hour of 4 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. All right, I want you to be honest. Are you happy with your weight? A lot of people struggle with this. I have struggled with it. Last year, I lost a lot of weight, but it started to come back when I started to work through some issues, some medical issues, and I decided I didn't really want it to balloon back up to where it was. I didn't want to do the yo-yo thing. Though I have never taken on a weight loss client, I have been very impressed with the program that Jamie and Carly at Restoration Wellness Med Spa in Lebanon developed for me. You see, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. They took a look at my history, my lifestyle, and suggested an approach that is starting to show real results. And amazingly, I'm going through this whole thing, and I'm not hungry, which is a huge thing. Beyond that, Cabana Wife and I are undergoing peptide therapy at Restoration Wellness Med Spa. We're thrilled with the results. We've both noticed greater mental clarity and increased energy. So whether your goal is to lose weight or improve your overall health, Restoration Wellness Med Spa has a solution for you. Maybe it's time for you to join the more than 1,000 patients who have already seen life-changing results. Here's the number, 615-470-8124. And learn more at restorationwellnessmedspa.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Five o'clock, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. 83 degrees on Music Row. A beautiful weekend ahead, such as today. Traffic, complete weather forecast, 5 minutes. The latest on the Donald Trump hush money trial. Dave Packer fills us in.
Testifying in Donald Trump's hush money case, the second witness, Trump's longtime aide, Rona Graff, testifying that Trump kept contact information for two women who allegedly had sexual relationships with him, Karen McDougal and Stormy Daniels. Graff testifying that she also entered a contact for Stormy Daniels, saying it contains her mobile phone number. Referring to Ms. Daniels, Graff saying she had, quote, a vague recollection of seeing her in the reception area on the 26th floor of Trump Tower. Graff saying she also knew Daniels was a porn star. During cross-examination, attorney Susan Necklace reframing Graff's testimony, suggesting that Stormy Daniels was spotted in Trump Tower because she was being considered for a role on The Apprentice. Graff from the witness stand confirming she was aware through office chatter that Daniels was being considered for that show. Graff, after short testimony, has now concluded her time on the witness stand.
Back here in Tennessee, an alleged kidnapping, 26-year-old Jamie and Taylor, who was released from jail on Tuesday for assaulting a woman in an elevator, was arrested again today for trying to kidnap a 15-year-old girl. It was at Martin Luther King Jr. Magnet School, and a student saw Taylor and noticed him following her. After she got off the bus, the girl ran to the school and then told an adult. Taylor allegedly admitted to running after that student. He's now back in jail on a $75,000 bond. And attorneys for more than 24 Iowa and Iowa State athletes caught in a state gambling sting filed a lawsuit today. Chuck Severston.
Plaintiffs include athletes from Iowa, Iowa State, and Ellsworth Community College. Most who faced criminal charges agreed to plead guilty to underage gambling and pay a fine. But 4 athletes did not, and in March, all charges against them were dropped because investigators were found to have misused tracking software that detected open mobile betting apps on cell phones in athletic facilities. The suit claims improper conduct, violation of constitutional rights, and more.
No comment from Iowa Department of Public Safety, which oversees the investigators. And that is the latest news, traffic, and weather on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lockboxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
It is 6 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. The 5 o'clock hour now begins, hour number 3 of the drive, where we're getting things done. In fact, I've been getting things done all day today. I've been a busy boy today, even before I came in here and started getting ready for today's show. I mean, do you ever have this thing happen to you where, hang on, I have to get the dings in there. You ever have this thing happen to you where you look at your phone and it's your bank and they're asking you, did you make this purchase?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have.
And then you look at it and you go, no, I didn't make that purchase. So you answer, no, it's not mine. And they say, we've just turned off your card. Good luck, So you don't have an ATM card, And so that happened to me last night. By the way, it happened to Cabana Wife about a week ago. Interesting. I don't know why, but anyway, it was if they get your number, they apparently buy your credit card information. I don't know how they get it. You go somewhere online and you buy stuff. You really don't know who's looking at your numbers and all your credit card information. They've got everything they need to make it work because when you buy something, you got to give them the security code, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so they got that figured out. So somebody sells that number. And so the first thing they do when somebody purchases your credit card information is they run like a 1 penny charge.
Just a tester.
Or just a tester to see if the card really works.
Yeah.
And so it was a 1 cent charge for a tool company in Philadelphia.
Huh.
Yeah. And so I said, well, no, that's not mine. They locked it up. The great thing is I live in Watertown, Tennessee, and I do my banking at the Bank of Two Caitlin's. And so I went down to see the two Caitlins today. I didn't actually, both Caitlins were busy. So I went and saw another teller, and I told her what my problem was. You know what? I got a brand new card out the door in 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
Now, that's impressive.
That's real impressive. Yeah, so anyway, take that, you credit card abusers. You didn't stop me from, and didn't cause me any headache.
Not this time.
Not this time, you guys. And then I got a haircut. And I mean,
Looks like you got more than one haircut.
I got a lot of them cut.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I was looking pretty shaggy. I don't know what happened. I got busy and didn't go down for the longest time. But now I'm feeling, this is my summer cut.
Yeah.
This will get me through for a few weeks. And so I just got a lot of stuff accomplished. What I did not get accomplished today is I did not find a rubber snake, which I need to scare away the robin. I don't know if you can hear it. The bird is still banging against the window.
He's going to knock himself out eventually.
Now, the history is there's a robin. It looks like a small, immature male robin to me. I'm not a bird expert, but that's what it looks like to me. And this robin keeps banging against my window. And for a while, it would sit on a branch right outside my window and peck on the glass. Like it's seeing something in the reflection, right? And it doesn't like it. And sometimes it would bash itself against the glass. Well, I told the Cabana wife, go, if you're out today running around, bring me home a rubber snake.
Yeah.
And she couldn't find one. I thought I'd just put the rubber snake out there on the branch and that will scare the robin away.
Mm-hmm.
But what has happened is that she couldn't find it, so she came home and trying to be helpful because she is very helpful. She got a pair of those shears, loppers, trimmers, pruners, what do you want to call them, massive things that you cut limbs with, and she cut all the little limbs away from the window thinking, well, if the bird can't sit on the branch, the bird will get frustrated and quit doing this. No, we just pissed the bird off is all we did. The bird is now very angry, and now it just flies into the window repeatedly. It's there right now against my window, banging against the window. Now, you can't hear it on this microphone, but I hear it, and it always sounds like there's somebody right behind me. Somebody is, sneaking up on me.
Yeah.
Very distracting.
It has to see its own reflection, I would think, and think it's another bird, and then it's, I guess maybe it's a mating. Maybe it's mating season. It is spring after all.
I don't know what it is.
Territorial.
It is being territorial. That much is. It's not a very bright bird.
No.
I'm cursed in my life with animals that aren't very bright, but one way or the other. Let's go to the swamp. No, we're not going to the swamp. We're going to do good border news. We got all kinds of border news here today. Because the border situation continues to be the second most important. In some polls, it's the number one most important thing on the minds of voters this year. And the good news is for conservatives and Republicans that Donald Trump is viewed as a person who has successfully handled the border, and the current president is looked as the person who is causing the problem. So we want to look at this, and it's not getting any better. It's really not getting any better. I got several stories here. Can you hear that? Can you hear it?
I did just hear something. Yeah.
It's real. I'm gonna have to go out there and I may have to take drastic action.
Yeah, take the broom out there.
Yeah, there it is again. That dang Robin. You think it would hurt.
Yeah. You would think he would learn eventually, okay, I give up. But he's stubborn.
From hotair.com, sanctuary cities keep releasing sex offenders to avoid ICE detainers. Lovely. The stories of illegal aliens committing felonies and being released back into the community are too numerous to count. Time and time again, we read about illegal aliens who've committed heinous crimes. But apparently, the numbers are really not very good in some areas. And some of these is for decades. Liberal media has attacked conservatives, providing cover for Democrats and their big government pro-abortion. Well, this is a rant. Gun-grabbing culture destroying allies. Now they have big tech helping them censor conservative media. I'm sorry. I printed this story out and it didn't print out correctly. The big story here is the problem that we have right now in sanctuary cities is that they don't want to deal with ICE. They don't want to hand people over. And so there's been a continual problem of sanctuary cities releasing especially heinous sex offenders because they don't want to deal with ICE. Instead of doing the right thing, they put their communities in danger. Here's from sarahcarter.com, had a couple of good stories. I had not seen this number. Under President Joe Biden's parole system, which targets illegal aliens from Venezuela, Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, Colombia, Ecuador, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, up to 30,000 migrants per month who wouldn't normally qualify for a visa may use a U.S. government app on their cell phones to gain parole and cross the border or fly into the United States. This means they are eligible for work and eligible to get a Social Security number. In these circumstances, it just massively increases the number of Social Security numbers for people who are not here legally, says Cleta Mitchell, chairwoman of the Election Integrity Network, talking to the Daily Signal. The administration has a duty to direct the Social Security Administration to be able to tell states that just because someone gets a Social Security number does not mean that they are a citizen. However, under a U.S. law called Help America Vote Act, a Social Security number may be used by someone who registers to vote. Several states allow the last 4 digits of a Social Security number to be used as voter ID on absentee or mail-in ballots. The citizenship status of those providing the Social Security numbers wouldn't be known by local voter registrars. Well, there's a catch-22 right there. This is huge. The Social Security Administration should know that if they are parolees or what their status is. They should know that and share that with the states, says this individual, Mitchell, speaking to the Daily Signal. House Speaker Mike Johnson announced on April 12th press conference from former President Donald Trump that he would introduce legislation to require proof of citizenship for voting. So someone granted temporary legal status in the U.S. with work authorization from the Department of Homeland Security gets a Social Security card that says valid for work only with DHS authorization. Under the Help America Vote Act, when a voter registrant does not have a driver's license, states are permitted to submit the voter registrant's name, date of birth, last 4 digits of their Social Security number to the SSA for verification. Okay. Social Security provides the verification to the requesting state through the American Association of Motor Vehicles Administrator, a network. We developed the Help America Vote Verification, which provides real-time verification of the submitted information, including name, date of birth, last 4 digits of the Social Security number, and an indication of whether the record showed the individual was deceased. The verification does not provide citizenship information, nor does it give authority to provide the requesting state citizenship information. That is really, really something. So understand, you come in under certain ways, and there have been like 320,000 people who've come in through these direct flights, I'm told. And because they qualify for a special kind of asylum, they are allowed to get work visas, and they are assigned a Social Security number. And you take that Social Security, you're not supposed to use it to vote, but you can use it as voter ID to get your voter registration card. And even though, and so the voter registration system can check to make sure it's a valid Social Security number, but they don't give information about your status as a citizen or non-citizen. So all they know is, yeah, he's got a Social Security number, and yeah, that's it. And this is when that person was born. That is the person that is assigned this number, but it doesn't say whether or not they're citizens. And yet they are granted, in many cases, voter registration. 320,000 people, I remember that number coming up the other day, are coming to this country who are going to get Social Security numbers, who could, if they go to the next step, get voter registration cards, and then they could vote in the election, even though they are not citizens. The other problem is that you're really sort of on your own. There are states that say when you show up and you want your voter registration card, they just look at your driver's license. And when you get your driver's license, even if you're an illegal alien, if they ask you at the DMV, are you an American citizen? And you say yes, even if you're not, they will go ahead and give you the driver's license that has a little star on it, which says that you're a citizen. This is what it's all about, folks. This is what the whole thing is about. They're using this whole system in order to sort of crash the boards. And a lot of these people, how many people are in this country illegally? I think the number runs somewhere in the neighborhood of about 8 million. Some say as high as 13 million. How many of those people are going to basically lie when they get their driver's license and then go to the next step and get your voter registration card and vote? And how will we be able to say no? There's no way to double check it. There are big gaps in the system that allow people who are not citizens to get voter registration cards and to cast ballots in the coming election. I had not seen this explained quite as clearly, especially this part about people who come from certain places and were allowed to fly into the country directly rather than go through the border, and they are granted a Social Security card. Wow. It is. I don't know how we're going to solve that problem. How do you challenge somebody at a voter's precinct if they've got the card? It's frustrating, isn't it? It is very frustrating. Finally, as long as we're talking about border stuff, Biden administration used border wall funds on environmental planning and cleanup. That's a good use of the money. Taxpayer dollars meant to fund a border wall has been used for environmental planning, according to a new report by the Government Accountability Office. The report came at the request of a query by Republicans Jack Bergman of Michigan and Jody Arrington of Texas, and they investigated whether the Department of Homeland Security broke the law when it effectively blocked the use of taxpayer dollars to build a wall along the southern border. While the GAO's report clears the DHS of breaking the law, it confirmed that DHS used congressionally appointed funds meant to pay for the wall for environmental planning and efforts to remediate or mitigate environmental damage from past border wall construction. That's pretty vague, isn't it? 21 past the hour now. Well, the spring season is upon us, and now is the time to start thinking about replacing that old lawn equipment you have. DT McCall can help you out with their Spring Cub Cadet sale, which starts today in Cookeville. Starts today, runs through May 4th. That's right. Now, you should know DT McCall & Sons is ranked as one of the top Cub Cadet dealers in the United States, and you can find Cub Cadet riding mowers with 40, 50, 60, 72-inch decks for those large areas, or a Cub Cadet walk-behind mower if you just have a small lot. And let me tell you about the Cub Cadet. What a great piece of equipment this is. I have a zero-turn. It's got a 60-inch swath. I got 2 acres of land. I knock it out in about 45 minutes. And you know what? It's my favorite thing in the world. I actually really do enjoy getting out and mowing with this thing. And it's just a wonderful piece of equipment. Now, when you purchase a Cub Cadet mower from DT McCall's, you'll be getting access to their in-house service department. It's nearly impossible to find mower service anywhere else like this. So with a large selection of Cub Cadet mowers, free delivery, and an in-house service department, it's an easy choice. Again, starts today in Cookeville, runs through May 4th. Take advantage of the spring Cub Cadet mower sale. Learn more at dtmccalls.com.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
Protests growing across the nation at college campuses. A crime story here in Tennessee. And plus, we got some money news coming out of the Federal Reserve. We'll tell you all about it. 5:30, Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat.
That's right. It's time for Mac Morey's wide, wild, wacky, weird world of sports. And now, without further ado, the man, the myth, the legend, the man who brings you all the good sports information, Mac Morey, ladies and gentlemen.
Friday edition, and boy, Brian, we've got the local sports news hitting an all-time high. I mean,
we got stuff going on.
We do. We do. We got playoffs. We got NFL draft. We're going to cover it all right here as quickly as we can because we're going to talk about it all. And of course, we got the Catfish song as well. So we got
to slip the Catfish song in because it's a big playoff game tonight in Nashville. Okay.
So we'll start with Tennessee Titans draft. So I mentioned some of the scenarios that could happen. The Titans did want Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. That was who they wanted to fall for them. That was for months. That was it. Joe Alt was the pick. Well, I told you it could get kind of screwed up if the LA Chargers decided to take him, and they did. I said Harbaugh wants to run the ball. He's going to love a big guy like Joe Alt anchoring his right side. I say right side because they've already got one of the best left tackles in the game. That was the only question mark I had with this sort of pick. You're going to have to stick him on the right side. They did it anyways. And I'm glad the Titans went with right tackle out of Alabama, J.C. Latham, with the 7th overall pick. They didn't get fancy. They didn't try and get all, spicy and hot with a wide receiver or Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia, and find some playmaker, flashy guy. No. You need someone to protect your quarterback.
Build the O-line.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
You need Will Levis to be able to stay in the pocket, go through his progressions. I said it a couple times today here, but taking a tackle in the first round, especially in the top 10, it's kind of like getting socks or underwear for Christmas. Okay, it's not the most exciting.
That's exactly right.
It's not the most exciting, but man,
you gotta have it.
You need it. You need it. It's reliable, and for years to come, you'll say, "Dang, I'm glad I had those socks. I'm glad I had that undies."
And when you get the quality, good quality socks and undies, it's like, ooh.
And this is fruit of the loom, nice boxer briefs. That's what J.C. Latham is.
Gold toe, baby.
Exactly. In 1,016 pass blocking snaps, Latham has allowed just 2 sacks. Over 1,000 pass blocking snaps, just 2 sacks allowed in his college career. The Titans kind of have announced that he's a right tackle. They're going to move him to left, so he's going to play on the left side. And we've mentioned Bill Callahan, Brian's father, who is one of the most highly renowned offensive line coaches in the league that came over the Titans with his father, or with his son, rather. We'll be able to coach him up. We'll be able to figure this out and get him going on the left side here, right next to Peter Scaronzi. And then, of course, newly added center Lloyd Cushenberry, one of the higher paid guys at his position. So good start for the Titans, getting strong up front. Now, over to the ice. Brian, Game 3, tied 1-1 against the Vancouver Canucks.
That's right. It's a fresh start.
Could take the lead here tonight, get up 2-1 at home, Bridgestone Arena. We're 100% on this. I think you know what to do, Brian.
It's time, once again, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce the WTN Show and Party Band with their rendition of Throw That Catfish Down, Son.
Slimy, kinda ugly, got whiskers like a cat, feeding on the bottom till he's nice and fat. He'd be mighty tasty in cornmeal fried up hot with a side of okra or anything you've got. But this big old catfish won't be sitting on your plate. He's got a higher calling, he's got a nobler fate. Gonna take this bottom feeder, gonna dress him up real nice. Gonna take him down to Smashville, gonna throw him on the ice. Throw that catfish down, son, before they drop the puck. Throw that catfish down, son, it'll bring you lots of luck. Throw that catfish down, son, it's time to start the fun. Throw that catfish down, son, we can win another one. Down, son, before they drop the puck. Throw that catfish down, son, it'll bring you lots of luck. Throw that catfish down, son, it's time to start the fun. Throw that catfish down, son, so we can win another one.
Woo! Oh yeah, let's go.
That's right. Let's win another one tonight.
Let's go.
The first time we played the song, we won. Second time we played the song, we're going to win.
That's right.
5:30 now. Time for the news.
.531, I'm Mac Morey with your top stories. Currently 83 degrees this afternoon on Music Row. A warm, sunny weekend ahead. We'll tell you all about it. Weekend weather forecast plus that latest traffic report headed your way 5 minutes. As campus protests grow across the country, students in the Washington, D.C. area have joined together in one encampment calling on various colleges and universities to divest from anything related to Israel. Mary Alice Parks has more.
They made an interesting decision here in D.C., which was to make a collective citywide statement. So there are actually students behind the barricades from Georgetown University, American University, the University of Maryland, as well as GW. And it was interesting to me today that they talked about sort of how that spirit of a sort of a citywide movement was important to them to stand together as one.
Here in Tennessee, crime story. 2 more people were arrested in connection to a double homicide. It happened earlier this month in Clarksville. Officials said that a 17-year-old from Oak Grove, Kentucky, and 20-year-old Christopher Watkins from Hopkinsville was arrested yesterday for their alleged involvement in the murders of Savannah Lumpkin and Glenn Nicholson on April 8th at a house. 36-year-old and 26-year-old were already taken into custody earlier this month for that crime. Investigation remains active. In the money news, the Federal Reserve may be hesitant to cut interest rates anytime soon. Perry Russum in Washington with the new numbers from the government.
A government report shows prices rose 0.3% from February to March, the same as the previous month. Ryan Sweet is the chief U.S. economist at Oxford Economies and says he's expecting no rate cuts before September. Fed Chair Jerome Powell last week said recent data has not given them greater confidence that inflation is under control. Car insurance has been a recent driver of rising inflation, up 8% in the last year.
And that is the latest news, weather, traffic on the way. I'm Mac Morey, WTN News.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
You know, Grace Point Healthcare is the standard for affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine. How? Well, as a direct pay provider, your healthcare is delivered without the red tape of, an insurer's guidelines. Do you really want them involved in your healthcare decisions and telling you what you can and can't do? Smart Care plans make it even more affordable. You start at $69 a month, and for that, you get free office visits and basic labs for the entire year. Grace Point identifies and treats the root causes of conditions, not just the symptoms, utilizing a comprehensive functional approach. And by usually seeing you the same or next day, you're treated at your convenience. Convenience, really, honestly, is a great thing. Have you ever tried to get a doctor's appointment on short notice? It's hard. Grace Point Healthcare, affordable, comprehensive, and convenient medicine delivered the old-fashioned way. They are located on Main Street in Franklin. Here's the number, 615-599-6868. That's 615-599-6868 to set up your first appointment.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
38 minutes now past the hour of 5 o'clock. You getting home okay, man? Let's get you home. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. And you know what? Because it's that time, it's time for round number 2 of a little thing we like to call Phone Your Farb Friday. Here's the number, 615-737-9986. This is your chance to get on our 100,000-watt soapbox and express yourself. Maybe you got a bee in your bonnet, a burr in your saddle, or a bug in a place where I hope you really never, ever have a bug.
Hey!
Just get after it. Fill up these phone lines. Get it off your chest. We love having first-time callers as well. You know, you can't just be a lurker. You can't just sit out there and listen and not participate. So, you know, we want you to get on board with it. I mean, we got a couple of lines open. Phone lines are coming in. They're filling up quick. Let's go to our first caller, Lindsay, in Pleasant Shade. Hello, Lindsay. You're on with Brian on the Drive.
Hi, Brian. I just wanted to ask you, with all these boys going into girls' bathrooms and locker rooms, isn't there something we can do, like some kind of unisex bathroom for all the buys and its and theys and thems and whatnots? Can't they just have their own?
Well, I mean, I guess that is possible. I mean, you talk about the extra expense of all of that, and you know, again, that we even have to consider this is insane. It's really nuts. I don't know why in the world that we are still having these conversations, but we are. And, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the ultimate solution is here, but I don't think it's fair, quite frankly, really don't feel like it's fair to have a situation where you have, you know, boys competing in athletic competition as girls. And it's not fair to the girl athletes. That's the one thing. Every time I hear Riley Gaines talk about this, I just say, now there's someone who can enunciate that so clearly. And I think most people feel this way, but apparently this is the times in which we live. And I tell you what, it's frustrating. I really wouldn't like it a lot if my daughter, who played soccer in high school, had to go up against somebody who was playing against her as a striker. She was a defensive player. And it was a person born as a boy, but now identifying as a girl. I would not like that. I would think that would be unfair. I'd be very upset about it. So great deal of sympathy for all of that. How about let's go to Steve in Franklin. Hello, Steve. You're on with Brian on the Drive. What do you say, Steve?
Hey, Brian. Long-time listener. Love your show.
Thank you.
You want to get away and just not think about anything this weekend? Come down to Franklin. We're having our street festival. We got crafts from all over the United States. We got food. We got live music. I mean, it's just a big dog deal, and everybody has a ball. And you can just forget all this other stuff.
Well, listen, and you're going to have great weather this weekend, the way it looks right now. So yeah, that's a good thing. Sunday. Yeah. So listen, you've reached a lot of people, and I tell you what, there's an awful lot to like about hanging around in Franklin. Nonetheless, it's a good little town, good little community. All right, thank you very much, Steve. Appreciate it. Paul in Cookville wants to help me with my bird problem. I have if you've missed it, in fact, I have now set up. Just hang on for a second, Paul. I've now set up a special bird microphone over there near the window. See, when I turn it up, I sound like I'm in a big hollow room. But if the bird comes back, I'll be able to share with you what's going on, okay? So we have the secret bird microphone. Now that the bird microphone is up, I don't think the bird is going to probably come back. But we'll be ready if the bird shows up. Okay, Paul, what's the solution? How do I get this bird to stop banging into my window?
Hey, Brian, I'm an avid listener of yours. So when I went to Walmart, and I got a bird feeder that's clear, and it's got suction cups on it, and you can put it on the outside of the window, and the bird will go for the seeds and probably leave your window alone.
All right, so they'll eat the food and not mess with the window. Maybe that's the way to do it.
You may give that a try.
Say again?
You may give that a try. It may work.
Well, I'll try. I've seen those. In fact, I have a it was given to me for my birthday, a bird camera that's also a feeder, and it's remote, and it will send pictures when the birds come to eat. Will send pictures to your phone. So maybe I'll set that up out there. That's not a bad idea. All right, thank you for that. And again, it's now of course, now that I have the bird mic up, and you know across the room there, you're never going to hear the bird, and the bird will never come back now. All right, thank you for that, Paul. Ricky in Watertown, you're up. Ricky, what's up, buddy?
Did you know Watertown may become the hometown of a professional football player?
I did not know that. Fill me in.
Okay. The young man played football up here at Watertown about 4 or 5 years ago. He went to college at Western Kentucky, transferred to Texas Tech. At the start of the season, he was the #1 rated center in the whole nation. And I think on the second game, he hurt his elbow. And they swapped him with the right guard, and he's played guard since then. His name is Rusty Staats, Staats. Hey, he's good corn-fed boy.
All right.
320 pounds and 6'5".
Good Lord. That's a hoss right there. All right. Well, listen, thank you for that. I hadn't heard that. Hadn't heard that at all.
Sir.
All right. Listen, thank you so much for the call and for the information. Hey, let's go to George in Laverne. Hello, George. George, you've been very patient. What's up, George? What's on your mind today?
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
I'm good.
So I want to get your thoughts on the so-called chemtrail bill in the Tennessee legislature. I think it was kind of just made them and maybe some of us look like idiots because it doesn't really do anything. If you read the text of it, it certainly bans cloud seeding, which I don't think anybody does in Tennessee. It also bans the geoengineering, which, as far as I can tell, nobody is doing anywhere. There's a lot of people talking about doing it, experimenting with it, but nobody's actually doing it. And I think people are in for a real shock when, on July 2nd, the contrails on the aircraft don't disappear and nothing changes in the skies over Tennessee.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, there are these things called contrails, and they've been around since I was a kid. I don't know. Now, look, I'm going to tell you right now, George, I sort of see the thing the way you do, but I can tell you right now that there are a ton of people out there who look at this chemtrail thing and think it's a thing, and I don't want to discount them. I've looked into it, and I'm convinced that what we're seeing over the skies of Tennessee is not geoengineering, but just chemtrails. I mean, not chemtrails, but the contrails. Just the moisture that comes from a jet engine when it's at certain altitudes. And they do last. They can last for hours. They really can, and I don't know. It's not. I don't notice anything different than what I've always seen, but I mean, people are passionate about it, and I've looked into it, and what I find out is that there've been people. You're right, talking about geoengineering, but as I understand it, to be really effective, I think most of the people who are thinking about geoengineering say it has to be done over the Arctic Circle. Well, we're not within the Arctic Circle, so I don't know. Look, I'm going to reserve judgment. Because I've learned over the years sometimes that the things that we think are just kind of conspiracy theories turn out to be right. So I'm not going to be that person who says they're barking up the wrong tree, but I don't quite see it the way a lot of people do. And the fact that the state legislature acted on it, okay, well, you say you've outlawed it, so that's the end of that. We won't have that in the state of Tennessee, but I guarantee you we'll still see contrails. Because that's what come from aircraft flying at high altitude. All right, we'll leave it there, George. Thank you though for that. How about let's go to Rich in Manchester. Hello, Rich. You're up with Brian on the drive. What's on your mind today, Rich?
Oh, hello, Brian. I just wanted to give you kudos for a great show.
Well, thank you.
Well, yeah, long ago and far away, and back when I had a little more timbre and resonance in my voice, I used to be a radio DJ, and matter of fact, I worked on the exact same frequency, 99.7, back when it was WMSR in Manchester, Tennessee.
Wow,
and that's been a long time ago, you know. But you're doing a great job, and it's appreciated for all that you're doing. Let me just point out two things, and I'd like to hear your comment of it. I've noticed last few years that many of our fellow residents with a D behind their name will get up and check social media looking for a reason to go complain or protest or have a fit about something. I can't personally imagine being so miserable that I have to wake up in the morning and go find something to complain about, you know. And two, it just seems like many of our people with the D behind their name, I mean, it's like the girl from the movie Exorcist. You mentioned the word Trump, and their head spins around. What?
They call that Trump derangement syndrome, yeah.
Well, yes, sir, I understand that, but it is just so extreme. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on both of those two things I just mentioned. And
well, I do. There is a tremendous amount of anger in this country. I think actually on both sides, people are angry, and people have very short fuses. I think probably, the thing that I've noticed about how society has changed with social media, it seems that people don't have any problem at all flaming another individual and just getting upset and angry and just venting, whether you have your facts in order or not, behind the cloak of the computer. Behind, like there's a guy that trolls us all the time who does it, and he hides behind a cookie. I don't know what that guy's all about. But one way or the other, I think that people just say things they would normally never say on social media. And what I have found is when people flame me in a way that it gets my attention, I sort of reach out to them. And it's amazing how many times when you reach out to somebody and say, hey, what's this all about? How come you feel so strongly about this? They're shocked, stunned, and amazed that you would even pay attention. I was having a bad moment, and then they turn off as nice as pie when you actually sort of call them out on it. But, nobody wins an argument on the internet. It just doesn't happen. So I've gotten to look, and if somebody pings me on something in social media, the first thing I do is look and see, well, how many followers does this person actually have? There's no money in all in getting, and no percentage in getting into some kind of back and forth with somebody who has 5 viewers or 5 followers. There's just no sense in it, because what that person's doing is they're amplifying their voice by attacking people who have larger followings, and then everybody sees the back and forth once I respond. So for me, it seems like to me sometimes it's hard to do when some people say very outrageous things to you, but at the end of the day, I just go, I'm just not going to engage with this person. It's amazing you find over the time as you get a little older, the power of doing nothing or saying nothing and just letting it roll off your back like water off a duck. It's 51 minutes. I don't know, Chris, we need to make a ruling here. I think the 4 o'clock hour was strong.
It's very close.
I'm going to say it's a tie.
I think that's fair.
2 good rounds. All right, make it 52 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. All right, folks, weather's getting warmer. That means grilling season is upon us. And if you're a fan of Legend Steakhouse like I am, you can enjoy some of those same flavors right at home, right on your very own grill. Just take a walk down your local grocery aisles to a place like Walmart and Kroger and look for Johnny Fleeman's very own brand. Johnny Fleeman's Marinade proprietary blend will give your steaks, chicken, and chops a flavor that will hit a home run with friends and family. It's low in sodium, about 1/3 of other brands. You don't have to worry about over-marinating. You can also use a marinade to enhance almost any of the other dishes that you might serve, things like your favorite rice recipe, pressed vegetables, just about anything. And don't forget his honey mustard salad dressing. It is a favorite. Use it as salad dressing or a dipping sauce for your favorite chicken fingers, fresh-cut veggies or chips, a recipe used in his restaurants for over 35 years. And if your favorite grocer isn't stocking Johnny Fleeman products, ask him to do so. For more information, just visit johnnyfleeman.com. And it goes without saying, for those times when you want someone else to do the cooking, they'll always be glad to see you at your nearest Legends Steakhouse for lunch or for dinner.
The Guaranteed Offer is the easiest way to sell your home. It's really simple. We bring you an all-cash offer. You close in as little as 21 days. No home inspections, no lock boxes, no open houses. Go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer and start packing.
Let me tell you about the folks who are at Beacon Capital Management. If I've learned anything over the last few years, it's that we can expect change. And for those nearing retirement, change can feel a bit scary. I mean, if you're worried about things like inflation and interest rates and how it will affect your retirement nest egg, why don't you use Beacon Capital Management's free retirement savings calculator? It is completely free, super fast. It takes less than 30 seconds from start to finish, and you'll get some results right away. Give you some rough idea of where you are and what you need to do to be ready for retirement. And then, by the way, you can find this over at AskBeaconNow.com to get started. But after you go through that process, I think you're pretty much going to realize, I really need to get on the ball here, and there's nobody to help you better than the folks at Beacon. Wouldn't it be great to have peace of mind that you're on the right path to retirement? Beacon can provide you that reassurance with a simple phone call, 615-488-9303. The experts at Beacon will get some information from you and take it from there. You have nothing to lose in this process except for the worry. So replace the worry with confidence that you're on the right path. Again, the number is 615-488-9303. The experts at Beacon stand ready to take your stress away. Learn more at AskBeaconNow.com. Good afternoon, everybody. We call it good evening now. I mean, it doesn't feel like evening. We sort of reached that time of year where, it doesn't feel like evening for a little while, but it is, I guess, technically 6 o'clock is evening, right?
I think it is. Yeah.
I'm going to call it evening. Good evening, everyone. It's about 7 minutes past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, and it's Friday, and we are rocking right along. Hope you've gotten home safely and that everything is good. If you're not quite home yet, let's get there quickly so you can start kicking back. I mean, for me, for example, when I get off, I've already been informed that there will be a trip down to the Mexican food restaurant.
Ooh.
And there'll be Inchies and Margie's, and we will have Inchies and Margie's tonight. So I'm ready to kick, I'm ready to get there myself.
Yeah, underlay.
But the last thing we need to do right now is to make sure that we get, across the goal line cleanly all the way up to 7 o'clock when we hand it over to Mark Levin. Some economic news. This story, we talk about this all the time. We talk about the fact that electric vehicles just don't make a lot of sense for a lot of people, yet the Biden administration keeps trying to shove them down our throats. And basically, they intimidated the major automakers to start moving toward that, and perhaps before we are ready. We don't have the grid to support it. There's a lot of problems with it. We don't have the charging stations we need across the nation, and quite frankly, I don't know how in the world we're going to get the electricity generated to actually charge up all these vehicles. But nonetheless, they're pushing. Now, in the last few days, the last few months, really, the auto companies have said, "Look, you got to give us a break on this because we're making the electric cars." And they're sitting on the lot and nobody's buying them. And so they've taken a complete bath on these electric cars. Understand how car makers work. They put a lot of money into research and development, right? When you talk about completely and radically changing the way you do business, when you've been building cars the same old way since the day of Henry Ford, on an assembly line, and they're gas-powered vehicles, and then they get better, a little better, a little better, a little better. I think cars are really quite amazing. I mean, if you drive an old classic car, let's say from the 60s or 70s, you'd be shocked at how different an experience it is than what you remember when you were younger. Because, cars have gotten really good. But when you throw all of that out and say, now we're gonna do electric cars, and we got to solve all those problems, they have to put a tremendous amount of money into research and development. Listen to this. Top American automaker Ford hemorrhaged over $1 billion on electric vehicles, $1 billion in the first quarter, leading to massive losses per vehicle. Ford sold 10,000 vehicles in its EV Model E unit, 10,000 nationwide. That's not much. In the first 3 months of the year, losing $1.3 billion on the line altogether, which equates to a loss of $130,000 per vehicle sold. They lost on that car that somebody bought that may have been $60,000, maybe even more, but $50,000, $60,000. They lost $130,000 per vehicle. Now you can't hemorrhage money like that and stay in business. So it's why the folks at Ford and the folks at GM and the folks at Stellantis and elsewhere have started going back and saying, we're just going to have to find another way. We need more time. America's not ready. Maybe these cars need to get better before people are ready to get an electric car. Is there an electric car in your future? I'm telling you, probably not mine. I'm gonna hang on to this Ford F-150 I got until the wheels come off the thing. I'm not going to trade it in. So anyway, despite the loss on EVs, Ford's net income was $1.3 billion, selling over a million vehicles with $42.8 billion in revenue in the quarter, and their net income, their profit basically was $1.3 billion. But can you imagine? You sell a thing. The Blivet cost you $1 to make, but It may cost you, let's say, $100 to make, but you can't sell it for $100. You got to sell it for, what, 10? Could you imagine? You wouldn't stay in business very long. So they take a bath. They're absolutely taking a bath. The Biden administration has sought to boost demand and production of EVs as part of his sweeping environmental agenda. They gave a $7,500 tax credit for some EVs in an attempt to ease the high cost of using funds from the $750 billion Inflation Reduction Act. Federal regulators have also put in place a tailpipe emission standard for consumers that will effectively require 67% of all light-duty vehicles sold after 2032 to be electric or hybrids. I think hybrids are the way we're going to be going. I think this whole idea of a purely electric car is interesting. And look, I'm going to hear from the Tesla people. The Tesla people love their EVs, and that's fine. That's great. I appreciate it. But not everybody is where you are. And I think probably what we're going to end up with, whether we like it or not, is a lot of hybrids. Here's another version of it from CNN. Ford's electric vehicle unit reported losses that soared in the first quarter to $1.3 billion, or for $132,000 in losses for each of the 10,000 vehicles it sold in the first 3 months of the year, helping to drag down earnings for the company overall. They would have made a lot more profit if it hadn't been for the losses in the electric and the EV unit. Wow. In 2023, Ford Model E, which is their electric division, reported a full-year loss of $4.7 billion on 116,000 EVs sold, averaging out to a loss of $40,525 per vehicle. Wow, that is a lot of money to bleed in order to try to do something for the economy, but I mean for the environment, but I don't understand how in the world that's going to work long term. You can't keep that up. No business stays in business if you're losing $130,000 on every vehicle that goes out the door. We heard earlier today that the numbers on the market were pretty good. I think the NASDAQ was up almost 2% today. Yeah, the NASDAQ 2%. But there was a report out today that once again reiterates the fact that inflation is very, very sticky. Inflation showed few signs of letting up in March, with the key barometer the Federal Reserve watches closely showing that price pressures remain elevated. The Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, the PPI, excluding food and energy, increased 2.8% from a year ago in March, the same as in February. That was above the 2.7% estimate from the Dow Jones Consensus. They look at this one very closely when trying to decide whether or not, they can bring down the cost of borrowing money and lower the interest rates. Including food and energy, all price items has increased 2.7 compared with the 2.6 estimate. Market showed little reaction. But what it shows you is that inflation is sticky. So we got a bad report yesterday about gross domestic product being much lower. We're not producing, we're not making as much. The economy is sluggish. They were expecting 2.7. It came in at about 1.6. And in the last quarter of last year, it was at 3.4%. So the economy and the gross domestic product seem to be slowing somewhat. And by doing that, it really makes it very, very, very difficult for the Fed to come in and say, well, we're going to lower interest rates. So it really, honestly, if you wanted to know my best thinking on it, we're probably not going to see any interest rate cuts the rest of this year. If there's one, it will be after the elections. One, maybe. I'm not even sure of that, because all the signs, if they do it, if the Fed lowers interest rates at this point, it will be for political reasons, not because the data show it's time to do it. Breitbart's economic editor John Carney said Thursday on Fox Business Network's Kudlow show. I love Larry Kudlow. I used to have him on our morning show when I was working in Washington, D.C. on a regular basis. Larry Kudlow is so smart. And one of the things I learned is when you just ask him a question, is just shut up and he'll let you know when he's done. It may be 5, 6, 7 minutes, but in that 5, 6, 7 minutes, you're going to learn a lot. But anyway, the economics editor said that the Biden regulations are strangling the economy. And I agree with this. I've been saying this forever. You know, when you add regulations, what you're doing is you're telling businesses you need to jump through this hoop in order to do what you do. And when you jump through that hoop, it's going to cost more money. What happens when it costs you more money to do business? Regulations cost businesses money, and they pass that on to the consumer. So your products, your goods, your services, they all go up because the Biden administration is strangling business with regulation after regulation after regulation after regulation. One of the great things that Trump did was he got rid of a bunch of the stuff that had been in the books forever, just got shed of it, and immediately businesses started saying, oh, thank goodness, now we can just do what we need to do to make our businesses work. And that's part of the reason we had such a vibrant economy during the Trump years, is that he had a rule that he would get rid of 2 regulations for every one that they added. If they felt like there was a need for a regulation, he said, okay, what 2 are you going to get rid of? But he did it. They got rid of all kinds of regulations, and it really helped the economy. When you add on giant regulatory burdens onto the private sector, what you end up doing is crushing the ability of businesses to grow, crushing the abilities of businesses to hire people, crushing people to start new businesses. And that's what happened under Obama when it was just 1/5 of what Biden has done. Biden, this is just a track record so far. Imagine that what he will do if he's a lame duck president. Yeah, that is a great point. What if he's a lame duck president? He's got nothing to lose, and he just starts piling on all the regulations. I mean, that's a scary thing. To think that Biden has had to sort of check his instincts to some degree because he wants to get reelected. But if he were to be reelected, it's Katie bar the door. There's nothing that can stop him. He can just do whatever he wants to do, and he can continue to put a chokehold on business, and it's gonna suffer. The economy is such an important thing, and I know that some people say, well, you talk an awful lot about it, but yeah, it's really important because you know what? In an election year, people vote their pocketbooks. This year, they're going to vote immigration. This year, they're going to vote economy, and those 2 things are actually in Trump's favor. You know, the numbers themselves may be tight, but when you start looking at some of these other things that are going on in the country and how people feel about the economy, how they feel about immigration, how they feel about these protests that are going on around the country, I think that, you know, a lot of this stuff is going to fall at the last minute if there are undecideds. I think they're going to realize that Biden has just not been a good president, and it hasn't been good for the economy, and they're going to make a snap decision. Remember, the last minute, there are a lot of people out in the world who don't pay much attention to politics, don't pay much attention to news, and they don't really focus on what they're going to do until the very last second. That's why it's so hard to predict election results down to the last wire, is that group of people who just haven't decided what they're going to do. And then when it gets down to decision time, they break one way or the other. And I think the thing that's going to cause a lot of people to break and sort of go in the voting booth and elect Trump is this idea that the economy is just not what it needs to be. And they remember the good times, the economic times they had under Trump, and they may be frustrated with Trump. They may not like the way he conducts himself from time to time, but they remember that things were pretty good in the country for them personally, and I think they're going to break that way. I think it really is going to be the difference. 21 past the hour now of 6 o'clock. In the market for a pole barn, you need to talk to the brothers that run Stoltz Co. 2 guys that can help you out. They are known for exceptional quality, craftsmanship, and fair prices. And they can build your new pole barn to your specifications with your needs in mind. That's the Stoltz Co. difference. Now, you can use these pole barns can be designed to do a whole lot of different things. Maybe you need a classic tool barn, a place to hang out. Maybe you need a man cave. Maybe you need a work barn. You you can do that as well. Maybe you need a garage. Maybe you got some cars, you want to get them undercover. The other thing you can do is you can build a work barn that's actually a home. These things are called barn dominiums, and they can do those as well. What they do is they take this classic post-frame barn look, and they add the reliability of modern materials and techniques to give you a finished barn that will stand the test of time. They don't scrimp on quality. They don't cut corners. They believe their customers deserve only the best. So just go to their website, stoltzco.com, Stoltzco, Stoltzco, Stoltzco.com. Take a look at the things they've done for other people, and you're going to get it. You're going to say, oh, yeah, now that's cool. I want one of them. And then call this number, 615-622-5992. Stoltzco, where quality workmanship and great customer service is affordable. Learn more at stoltzco.com. That's stoltzco.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.
It is 27 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I want to say thanks to all the people who have been texting in on the Members Nutrition Super Text line with suggestions on how I serve my problematic bird problem. That was redundant, wasn't it?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, that was. But it is a maddening thing. I've got an out of control robin, and somebody said put up a feeder. What did you find out? Apparently, somebody said
apparently robins are carnivores. They're I guess worm eaters or whatever. So they don't eat seeds. They don't have
wormivores.
They don't have the beaks to crack open seeds. So the little bird feeder won't help you any.
Yeah. Okay. I did not know that.
I didn't either.
I didn't know. I mean, you learn something every day.
Yeah.
I mean, if you pay attention, you learn something every day. Well, I was trying to entrap the bird, so I wanted people to hear what I'm hearing. So I set up a couple of wireless microphones over at the window. And then, of course, now the bird disappears.
I can hear birds chirping in the background there.
Listen, I'll be quiet for a moment. Yeah, that's just the background roar of the lively sounds of Watertown. Well, anyway, the bird, as soon as I put the microphones up, the bird, of course, disappeared.
Scared him away.
Yeah, but I wanted you to hear it. That thing just smacks right into the glass. Time and time and time again. And it's been going on for about a week now. And you keep thinking that the bird will figure out that that's a pane of glass and not another bird, but they don't seem to be able to catch that.
Well, maybe the microphone did the trick. Maybe just leave that microphone out there.
Maybe as long as I leave that microphone there, they won't come back. I don't know. That's fascinating. We've been watching the Trump trials. I quite frankly, I could come in here every day and do a big report on what the Trump trials are. I just don't think that anybody cares all that much. And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think that if you like Donald Trump, I think that you pretty much, it doesn't matter what happens at this point. You're going to be in support of Donald Trump. If you hate Donald Trump, it's not going to make any difference. I think will it impact some of those people in the middle who are on the bubble? I don't think there's anybody on the bubble about Donald Trump. You ask anybody, what do you think about Donald Trump? They got an opinion, and so I think it's really come down, I think a lot of Americans who are not particularly political will look at this. We've got two choices and they're not thrilled about either one. So they got to make a decision. I think it's going to fall toward Trump at the end. But just to bring you up to date, to say I did something on it, former National Enquirer publisher David Pecker, see, there's a bird theme going on here, testified that when he spoke with Trump about Trump reimbursing Cohen for buying the story of Stormy Daniels, Trump said he had no idea what Pecker was talking about. In other words, this whole thing is about did Donald Trump spend money improperly and then falsify business records about the payment to Stormy Daniels. And what we're finding out is that Cohen was the go-between about buying a story that was going to be in the National Enquirer and stopping this story from going forward. And at the end of the day, Trump apparently was kept completely in the blind about it. He looked at Pecker and said, I have no idea what you're talking about, indicating that Cohen was acting independent of the knowledge of the former president. So there you go. Again, it's complicated. This whole thing that was going on is apparently they're making a big deal out of something called catch and kill. The district attorney's office asked questions of David Pecker during the redirect that reaffirmed his previous testimony. Did you suppress the stories to help a presidential candidate? The prosecutor asked. Yes, I did, said Pecker. Asked about American media's non-prosecution agreement with the government, Pecker said it was his understanding that when the company signed the deal, it acknowledged violating federal election law. So, there you go. This is very complicated stuff. But the bottom line is everybody looks at it and they go, this is a case that probably should not have been brought. And that they would not normally be felonies except for this sort of novel legal approach to the case that the prosecutor came up with. I think if you have a straight up judge on this thing, the case gets thrown out before it goes to the jury. But it doesn't seem like that's going to happen. They're now hearing it. Will Trump get an even break on this? No, probably not with the New York jury. But the bottom line is, at the end of the day, he may end up being technically a convicted felon, and I don't think it changes the thing one bit. I honestly don't. Donald Trump is the only guy who can become a convicted felon, and people would not care because they've made up their mind. At least the people who support him would not care. It would maybe even strengthen them because they don't think that the whole process is fair. And I have to say, I agree. This case should never, ever have been brought. if for no other reason other statute of limitations had expired on it. But that doesn't seem to stop them. They find ways to bring these things back from the dead. 32 minutes past the hour now of 6 o'clock. If you've been here for a while, you know this is a big deal. Genesis Diamond Spring store-wide sale is going on right now. It's going on today. It's going on tomorrow, and yes, even Sunday. This is the big one with unbelievable store-wide savings up to 35% off. Rings, earrings, bands, bracelets, pendants, thousands of engagement ring settings, natural and lab-grown diamonds, special pricing across the board with zero interest financing as well. This is when the staff at Genesis knows they can break all the rules. Plus, world-class designers have flown in with all new collections of fashion jewelry from New York and California. This is stuff you can't find anywhere else, and it will all be on sale. If you're getting engaged, have a special event coming up, maybe Mother's Day, you can't miss this incredible buying opportunity. And Genesis has opened up the vault for this with the largest collection of GIA-certified diamonds and lab-grown diamonds, all shapes, all sizes, at prices you never thought possible. Don't miss the expanded selection and the extreme value pricing. People drive for hours to be a part of this. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, yes, even Sunday, exclusively at Genesis Diamonds Luxury and Pre-Owned Rolexes in Green Hill and Cool Springs, both locations. See the stores for details.
What an absolute mess. Hey, it's Dan Mandison. Look at my closets. Unorganized to say the least. Even my window dormer is a train wreck. Stuff is everywhere. Now, luckily, California Closets is coming to my rescue. My personal design consultant, Vince, stopped by, measured, and is now showing me how to become more space efficient and organized on his 3D CAD system. It is amazing. And soon, my space is going to be organized, and yes, even Bandit approves. California Closets, a local company that can customize the storage in any room of your house. California Closets, what can they do for you? Find them online at californiaclosets.com and reach out for your free in-home consultation.
It is 40 minutes now past the hour of 6 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7. I'm Brian Wilson, your friend and radio buddy. Wrapping up, we got about 20 minutes to go before we hand it over after the news to Mark Levin, who will carry on throughout the evening. I have some stuff that's coming down right now, just hot off the old printer. Stuff that's happened since we started this program earlier today. We told you earlier today that Governor Bill Lee was expected to sign the bill that would allow teachers to be armed in the classroom. Here's what he said earlier.
I do plan on signing legislation, and I think we need to be really clear about what this law does. You're right. Districts have the option to choose. What's important to me is that we give districts tools and the option to use a tool that will keep their children safe in their schools.
Well, now comes word from Channel 2 that Tennessee Governor Bill Lee has officially signed the legislation. It is now the law in the state of Tennessee. The measure, which I think you can all agree, in the state legislature was controversial, but it passed handily. Well, of course, that's you have conservative supermajorities in the House and the Senate. It's gone to the governor's desk. The governor has signed it. It is the law. And, you know, it was a bunch of, just carrying on, wailing and gnashing of teeth and all these histrionics. People did die-ins, and people were laying down. Justin Jones and his group were laying down on the floor, and they said that was representative of the children who would die in the classroom if this were to be allowed. And the people in the gallery were shouting down, "There is going to be blood on your hands. The children will die. Shame on you. Shame on you." Well, then we come to find out that this law, or something very akin to it, is already on the books in some 32 states. And I don't know, seems like I haven't seen a spate of stories about how kids, took away a gun and caused all kinds of mayhem in a classroom. I haven't heard one. I can't ever recall ever hearing a story like this. And the bottom line is that there were many provisions written into the law that would allow school districts to easily opt out. I mean, the superintendent, like they did at Nashville Public Schools, as soon as the bill was passed and sent to the governor's desk, they put out a memo saying, we're not going to do that. And that's the end of it. Because you have to have, under the law, permission from the principal, the superintendent, and the law enforcement person in charge, whether a police chief or a sheriff, one way or the other, depending on where you are. You have to have their permission. If any of the three said no, that's it. Well, Sumner County said no, not for us. Nashville Public Schools, Metro Nashville Public Schools said no, not for us. That's it. It won't happen. So, this was, again, I look at it and I say, you folks are either you don't know what the bill is or you're trying to deceive people as to what's in the bill. Because it's easy to say, oh, there are going to be guns in the classroom, and you think, well, I don't know that I want my art teacher, packing a .357 in class. I can understand how, you might not want that. But that's not it at all. And you got to jump through all these hoops, and you got to go through training. This is really designed, as the governor said, for rural areas to be able to do something where they have difficulty perhaps getting SROs. That's all it was. All it was. And, I mean, all of this nonsense and people getting their noses out of joint and screaming and hollering and performing, political theater at the Capitol, it was nonsense, because that's not what the bill was about. And, again, if there were a problem with this kind of thing in the other 32 states, I think we would have heard something about it. Just amazing. But anyway, this is done. It is now the law. This is another Channel 2 story. Boy, this is the kind of thing that really just drives me crazy. A convicted felon who had been charged with 105 offenses in Nashville since 2007 was arrested Friday for allegedly raping and kidnapping an Amazon delivery worker. The Metro Nashville Police Department said 34-year-old Carl Jerome Hamilton is charged with aggravated rape, aggravated kidnapping, and robbery for allegedly attacking an Amazon delivery worker in the mailroom of an apartment building located in the 700 block of President Ronald Reagan Way. The 25-year-old victim was delivering packages to the building around 4 a.m. Friday when Hamilton allegedly pushed her further into the mailroom and shut the door. He then demanded she remove her clothing and sexually assaulted her before forcing her to come with him to her delivery vehicle and drive to an ATM on Murfreesboro Pike, where he used her debit card to withdraw $100, according to investigators. What a tragic crime. But what's even more tragic is this person is out on the street at all. Charged with 105 offenses in Nashville since 2007. By the way, after this wasn't over after he got at the ATM. Hamilton then reportedly drove the victim around for nearly an hour before leaving her and her car. Officers reviewed surveillance video at the apartment building that showed clear pictures of the man committing the attack. As officers were about to leave the building, Hamilton, wearing the same clothing, was seen in the surveillance video, passed by in the front window, and was immediately arrested. Talk about a lucky break. Detectives at the apartment manager said the apartment manager knew Hamilton by name because he was arrested at the property on March 5th and January 2nd for criminal trespassing. How is it that we let people stay on the street when they have that kind of record? What is it going on in our criminal justice system that somebody who's been convicted and sent to charged with 105 different offenses keeps getting back out on the street? Hamilton was arrested for kidnapping and robbery in 2020 in connection with the assault of a 24-year-old woman on Academy Place. Investigators say he was convicted of those charges in July of 22 and received a 6-year sentence. So that means he was out in he was convicted of those charges in July of 2022 and received a 6-year sentence. Well, that doesn't make any sense at all, does it? How could that be? Well, anyway, there's a lot more to this story, but maddening that people like that are walking the streets of Nashville when they should be behind bars. I want to spend a few moments with this, with the time that I have left, because I told you there was more to this story about the Secret Service agent who works on the Kamala Harris personal protection detail that was arrested and was acting weird. We got a few more details now from Real Clear Politics. It was a female agent. An incident involving a physical attack by a female Secret Service agent tasked with protecting Vice President Kamala Harris is raising questions about whether the agency had thoroughly vetted her during her hiring and whether an ongoing push to increase the numbers of women in the service and boost overall workforce staff played a role in her selection. Secret Service agents assigned to Vice President Kamala Harris was removed from her duties Wednesday after physically attacking the commanding agent in charge and other agents trying to subdue her, according to an agency spokesman and knowledgeable Secret Service sources. Several sources in the Secret Service community identified the agent who physically attacked her superior as Michelle Hersig. The altercation occurred at 9 a.m. at Joint Base Andrews, the home base for Air Force One and Air Force Two. Harris was at the U.S. Naval Observatory at the time. This all happened outside her presence, did not delay her travel. Hersig showed up at the terminal and began acting erratically, grabbing another senior agent's personal phone and deleting applications on it, according to two sources familiar with the matter. The other agent, a shift leader, was able to recover his phone and tried to, laugh it off and pretend that nothing had happened. But Hersig's behavior did not stop. She then began mumbling to herself, hid behind curtains, started throwing items, including menstrual pads, at an agent, telling him that he would need them later to save another agent, and telling her peers that they were going to burn in hell and needed to listen to God. Hersig also screamed at the special agent in charge, rattling off the names of female officers on the vice president's detail and claiming they would show up and help her and allow her to continue working. At that point, other agents on the scene believed Hersig was suffering from a mental lapse, and the superior officer approached her to tell her she was relieved from the assignment. That's when she snapped completely. Hersig then chest bumped and shoved her superior, then tackled him and punched him. The agents involved in restraining Hersig were especially concerned because she still had a gun in her holster. They wrestled her to the ground, took the gun from her, cuffed her, and then removed her from the terminal. The agent was golly, this is a wild one, isn't it? Removed from her assignment, a Secret Service spokesman told Real Clear Politics in a statement. They see, I told you there was more to this story. But now, one of the take on this story is, were they putting people in the protection detail simply because they needed more women and not necessarily the most qualified people? In other words, did DEI have an impact on this? 50 minutes now past the hour. Busy bee, when you need heat or cold AC, 615-775-7833. That's the number to call. That's the number that I call every time I got a problem. And they want me to go through some of the things in detail that you get for being a member of the Beehive Club. When you become a member of our Beehive Club for $99, here's what you receive. 3 annual tune-ups, 1 aimed at heating, 1 aimed at cooling, 1 aimed at plumbing. This is the kind of thing that catches things before they get out of control. Preventative maintenance. You get 10% discount on all repairs. You get priority front-of-the-line service. If you call and say, I got a problem, well, you're a member of the Beehive Club. We'll be over there as soon as possible. A 100 annual accrued replacement credit with a maximum of $1,000. So, you get the $99. It's really sort of like making the investment when the time comes that you're going to need to replace a system, right? No overtime or holiday fees, and exclusive access to Beehive member promotions. Now, if you got a heating or cooling project, get this. You can make arrangements to get it done and pay 0 interest if you pay the project off in 15 months. Plumbing projects, you can get 0% for 18 months. So there's a lot of things that you can do. Pay 0 down, get things done, pay it off. If you pay it off within 15 months, or in some cases 18 months, you don't pay a bit of interest. Well, that's a good deal, right? So for satisfaction guaranteed at Busy Bee, which, by the way, is your official Rude Pro partner, just call this number, 775-7833. Learn more online at busybeehvac.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Matt Murphy for Members Nutrition. I want to tell you about the Members Nutrition difference, and I want to encourage you to go over to the Members Nutrition website. Number one, they believe at Members Nutrition that they can sell vitamins and supplements at a lower cost point, and they're doing it every single day at membersnutrition.com. Number two, they want to make these products right here in the United States of America, not from some overseas company, and they do that every single day. I encourage you to go to membersnutrition.com. You'll get 50% off your purchase price at checkout. You don't have to put in any codes. Just go to membersnutrition.com. Once again, membersnutrition.com.